disappeared on Saturday, October 17th, 2009. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Morgan Harrington's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. A beautiful 20-year-old Virginia Tech co-ed is looking forward to an evening of fun at a Metallica concert.
I mean, Morgan was kind of like champagne. Morgan was bubbly and cause for celebration.
At the concert, Morgan leaves her seat and doesn't return.
Even though she was warned that if she left, she would not be allowed to re-enter, for some unexplained reason, Morgan walked out the front doors.
Strangers report seeing her later that night.
It's 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, why is she out here with a mini skirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these three guys?
But her friends and family never see her again.
It's a strange place and time to be where your best case scenario is you're hoping your daughter is held against her will.
The police struggle to find viable leads in the case.
We had a girl we knew was missing, we had a purse, we had a cell phone, and that's it. I remember looking at the investigators and saying, we have a problem.
It's Saturday, October 17th, 2009. 20-year-old Virginia Tech junior Morgan Harrington is at her parents' house in Roanoke, Virginia, getting ready for a night out with friends.
Morgan liked getting ready. I think girls do. The part of the fun is the anticipation of going out. So we chose an outfit together that Morgan thought was danceable, but looked nice, and chose her jewelry.
Morgan has been living independently for 3 years now. She shares an apartment near campus with a friend. But she frequently drops by her parents' house, just 45 minutes away.
Morgan came home probably, I would say, twice a week, sometimes just for a couple hours.
So it seemed like it was a lot easier for Morgan to throw her laundry in the car and come here and push it in the door and say, Mama, here it is, and flop down and watch TV with Dan, and miraculously end up having had dinner and spent some time with her papa and have clean laundry all at the same time.
Tonight, she is going to a much-anticipated Metallica concert. A huge music fan, Morgan got the ticket as a gift from her father. For Morgan, this concert is the event of the year.
As soon as she heard that they were coming, she made sure that when tickets came available online, that Dan was there and bought tickets. And those tickets were magneted to our refrigerator for months, waiting for the day to come.
Morgan settles on a black vintage t-shirt with the band Pantera logo on it. A black miniskirt, black tights, and black boots. She completes her look with some family heirloom jewelry and a black purse that she can wear as a backpack.
She looked lovely, but Morgan could wear a burlap sack and look lovely.
Morgan has a very close relationship with her parents, Dan and Jill.
It's a wonderful time in the life of a parent when you finally have, it's not a peer-level relationship, but an adult relationship with your children. And Morgan had gotten there.
Dan and Jill enjoyed watching the youngest of their two children blossom from a spirited little girl into a beautiful and mature young woman.
Morgan was a lot of fun. I mean, Morgan was kind of like champagne. Morgan was bubbly and cause for celebration.
A blonde-haired, blue-eyed stunner, Morgan Dana Harrington has the bright personality to match her looks.
Morgan was this really sweet, beautiful girl. I always said that she was as beautiful inside as she was on the outside.
Now in her third year of college, Morgan is planning on becoming a teacher when she graduates. Although she prides herself on her independence, Morgan still sometimes struggles with her finances. She relies on her father to help her. In fact, on Sunday after the concert, she plans on coming back to her parents' house just for that reason.
The plan had been for Morgan to come back on Sunday, and I was going to help her with math and also help her balance her checkbook, which was not one of her favorite things to do.
By noon that Saturday, Morgan is out the door. The plan is to pick up her roommate Amy and 2 other friends before heading to the concert at the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville.
I believe what they were planning to do was to spend the night after the concert in Harrisonburg because it's closer, and then she was coming back.
Later that afternoon, Morgan calls her father on his cell phone to check in. She's picked up Amy, and the 2 have just arrived at James Madison University, where they are meeting the rest of the crew.
The last time I spoke with Morgan was around 2 or 2:30 when she called me from James Madison to let me know she had arrived safely.
At 7 p.m., the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia is bustling with Metallica fans. Morgan and her 3 friends take their seats as the opening band warms up the crowd. At about 8:15 p.m., Morgan tells her friends she is going to the restroom. When she is not back half an hour later, Morgan's friend Sarah calls her cell phone to find out where she is. Morgan tells her she ended up outside the arena and can't get back in. The venue has a strict no re-entry policy. Since Sarah has Morgan's car key, Morgan tells her she'll find a ride home and hangs up the phone. Sunday, October 18th. Dan Harrington is expecting his daughter home so they can balance her checkbook. Morgan's mother, Jill, is at church, as she always is on Sundays, and Dan is enjoying a quiet morning at home.
So I was doing my usual thing, and I wasn't concerned because I thought she would be home about noon.
At 11 a.m., Dan gets a phone call that leaves him puzzled, but not yet alarmed.
I had received a call about maybe 11 o'clock from the University of Virginia police who told me that someone had turned in a purse that was found, and it was Morgan's, and with her ID in the purse. And I thought that was strange, but then I thought, well, you know, maybe getting in the car, Morgan dropped her purse, and boy, she was really going to be angry.
I can remember Dan turning to me and saying, gosh, you won't believe it. University of Virginia has called and someone has found Morgan's purse. But I don't think he realized the importance and the impact of it. But I could just feel my face go white because I knew something bad had happened. If someone found Morgan's purse in a parking lot, my question immediately was, where is Morgan?
Coming up, troubling reports of Morgan's appearance outside of the concert baffle and unnerve her parents.
The last place that Morgan Harrington was seen around 9:30 would have been the Copley Street Bridge, trying to catch a ride, hitchhiking.
"20-year-old Morgan Harrington fails to show up at her parents' house the morning after a rock concert at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Morgan's father, Dan, gets a call from the UVA police, alerting him about Morgan's lost purse.
It's one of those moments where you know your world is getting ready to change. We immediately started to get on the phone and try and locate Morgan's friends and find Morgan.
When we called them, they told us that they had not seen Morgan since the middle of the concert, and told us that Morgan had left her seat, ultimately left the arena. I called the police at University of Virginia and told them that Morgan was missing.
The University of Virginia police take the Harringtons' concerns very seriously. The officers conduct a search of the immediate area surrounding the John Paul Jones Arena. Now, in the overflow parking lot near the athletic fields, they find more telling evidence. Morgan's cell phone, with its battery missing.
The additional items were found on Sunday when the detective went over to the area where the purse was found. It only confirmed again my concern that something horrible had happened to Morgan.
By Sunday night, the Harringtons are frantic. They still haven't heard from Morgan, and they begin to fear the worst. After a sleepless night, in the early morning hours of Monday, October 19th, Morgan's parents make the 2-hour drive from Roanoke to Charlottesville to talk to Virginia State Police, who are now taking over the investigation.
Well, initially, the investigation was focused on a missing person, but there was no indication that there was any foul play in those first few days after she was reported missing. According to her friends, they indicated that it was not unusual for her to, go off on her own, to spend some time with another friend and to leave and then show back up the next day.
The investigators' first task is to retrace Morgan's steps on the night of her disappearance. They interview Morgan's 3 friends. According to them, Morgan had not left her seat prepared to leave the concert that night.
She did not have her keys when she became separated from her friends to go to the bathroom. Nor was there a planned rendezvous point after the concert was over.
Morgan received a cell phone call from her friend Sarah at 8:48 p.m. She told Sarah that she was unable to re-enter the arena and she was looking for a way to get back in. And finally, Morgan just told her that she was going to find her, basically she was going to find a ride. And that was the last phone contact that anybody had with Morgan.
They even looked for her after the concert. They hung around the venue, went down to a local restaurant and tried to find her, and after many hours in the morning, they went back to Harrisonburg, Virginia, where they originated.
In a crowded public space like the John Paul Jones Arena, it's nearly impossible to avoid surveillance cameras. Investigators quickly locate video from Saturday night.
There are numerous businesses in that area, service stations, grocery stores, banks. We were able to obtain all of the video footage, surveillance video footage in that area.
Frame by frame, the investigators examine hundreds of hours of grainy surveillance footage collected from dozens of businesses.
None of the video footage that we reviewed revealed any evidence of what happened to Morgan. Nothing.
I felt certain we would have found at least a 2 or 3 second shot of Morgan Harrington outside the venue, but that just did not happen. And I can't explain it. I can only tell you that of all the video we have, there's absolutely nothing relevant to Morgan that we're aware of.
Next, police turn to the media, trying to find witnesses who might have spotted Morgan that night.
Anyone who may have seen Morgan or a young lady matching this description after October 17th, which was Saturday night, should report it to the police.
The purpose of the press conference was to try to make up time that had been lost, since she had been missing for many, many hours prior to us getting there. So we were going to flood the local media with information about Morgan Harrington as we knew it at the time.
She has long blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a black t-shirt, black knee-high boots, black tights, and a black miniskirt.
I would estimate probably we interviewed over 100 people in the first 3 or 4 days of the investigation.
Ultimately, here's what we had to begin with. We had a girl we knew was missing. We had a purse. We had a cell phone. and that's it. And that's not a whole lot to work with.
While the detectives conduct witness interviews, multiple agencies comb the area around the John Paul Jones Arena for any physical evidence.
We had a tremendous amount of resources here with troopers, with canines, with helicopters, and that went on for about 2.5 days.
And we were unable to locate any other items of evidence in that area.
It's a strange place and time to be where your best case scenario is you're hoping your daughter is held against her will. But that's where we were.
By now, Morgan has been missing for more than 48 hours. Jill and Dan Harrington try to keep their hope alive.
I'd like to say if Morgan is out there and hears us, please come home. It was our daughter, and we wanted to make an appeal to Morgan or to the person who took Morgan to please let her go free. We realized the only thing that we could do to help Morgan was to be as public as possible.
And to do that, we had to be accessible to anyone who came calling. So we didn't turn down anybody.
And now to the search for 20-year-old Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington. Good morning to both of you, and thank you for joining us. Obviously, this is a very difficult time for your family.
Thank you for having us.
The community and a nation rallies behind the Harrington family. Within 2 days, $100,000 is raised for information leading to Morgan's return. The band Metallica offers up additional reward money.
James Hetfield, who is with Metallica, called me and said that he was so sorry for Morgan's situation, and he offered a reward of $50,000.
Metallica also posts a message to their fans on the band's webpage, asking for any video taken at the concert that might help the investigation. As witness after witness comes forward online and through the police tip line, a bizarre picture of Morgan's movements outside the arena begins to emerge. At about 8:50 p.m., Morgan is spotted outside the ticket booth area.
Morgan, for whatever reason, started heading towards the main entrance, even though she was warned that if she left, she would not be allowed to re-enter. For some unexplained reason, Morgan walked out the front doors.
No one understands how her trip to the bathroom landed Morgan outside of the arena, since there are 18 clearly marked women's restrooms inside.
We identified some witnesses who were outside about to enter the arena, and who encountered Morgan out there, and they said that she seemed to be a little incapacitated in some way.
Up until now, there has been no information about Morgan's behavior. But soon, multiple eyewitnesses begin giving matching accounts. They say Morgan was acting erratically outside the arena. Some reports suggest she may have sustained an injury on her chin. Though Morgan's friends admit she'd been drinking alcohol, they say she was not intoxicated.
But we don't know what happened from the time she left that seat in Section 312 until the time she wound up outside. So we don't know if she was slipped a drug. We know that she probably fell. Based on the abrasion, it wouldn't have appeared to have been a serious head wound, but we don't know that. And then certainly we know outside the venue she was fumbling through her purse, had dropped her purse and spilled its contents, and that would be inconsistent with someone who had their wits about them.
The witnesses who encountered Morgan outside the arena told us that they offered Morgan assistance, asked her if she needed help or did she need a ticket or to get in, and she said no, she had a ticket, but she refused any kind of assistance that anybody offered her.
After compiling accounts from over 100 independent eyewitnesses, the investigators have a clearer picture of Morgan's movements outside the John Paul Jones Arena. It leads them to the Copley Road Bridge over the railroad tracks to the west of the arena.
The last place that Morgan Harrington was seen around 9:30 would have been the Copley Street Bridge, trying to catch a ride, hitchhiking.
This revelation bewilders and further alarms Morgan's parents.
They said that they had two different sources that placed Morgan on the bridge, and it was hard to process that. It's very atypical behavior for Morgan. To my knowledge, Morgan has not hitchhiked before. It's not, these kids all have cars. You know, you don't hitchhike.
We have a girl that's exposed now to some cold weather and some drizzle. We have a girl who doesn't have a cell phone that works. We have a desperate individual. We have a girl that's not thinking clearly. So when you're not thinking clearly, you're going to do things you normally wouldn't do. So while it wouldn't be normal for Morgan Harrington to hitchhike on that particular night, we believe she was hitchhiking out of desperation.
Coming up, another more disturbing sighting of Morgan comes to light.
And I was like, why is she out here with a mini skirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these three guys?
Virginia Tech junior Morgan Harrington is missing after leaving a rock concert at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Witness accounts last place her on the Copley Road Bridge, apparently hitchhiking at 9:30 p.m. that evening. The police continue searching the area around the University of Virginia campus.
We searched the entire tunnel system under the University of Virginia. We ran more dogs just to see, did we miss something? And we actually started considering potential dump sites, body sites, and we actually did some covert searches of those sites.
But search after search, the investigators come up empty. As days and weeks go by, the hope of finding Morgan or solving her disappearance begins to grow dim.
At some point, your search has to be reasonable, and you have to consider your resources and what other obligations do you have to other investigations. We did not stop our searches until we were confident that we had reasonably searched the areas that need to be searched and beyond.
By December 16th, 8 weeks after Morgan vanished, investigators stopped searching.
It's frustrating and demoralizing to feel that people would quit on Morgan.
To keep their daughter in the public's mind, Morgan's parents continue to engage the media.
And to the person who has taken Morgan from us, please just let her go.
This story took on a life of its own, and that's needed when you have someone who's missing. And we figured out also that keeping Morgan's story alive kept pressure on the police.
The day after Morgan disappeared, Charlottesville's weekly paper, The Hook, launched its own investigation into the Morgan Harrington case.
I happen to be a reporter that focuses on crime, and in particular, crimes against women. It was pretty quickly apparent within a couple of days that this was going to be a really high-profile case.
Reporter Courtney Stewart begins digging through the hundreds of witness accounts online and plugging into the town gossip to see if she can unearth any new information in the case.
I attended an orientation session for volunteers who were going to participate in one of the searches, and a woman sitting sort of towards the back stood up and said, "Why has nobody returned my call? I have been trying to give you my tip. I saw her."
Norma Parson told Stewart she was delivering newspapers around the University of Virginia grounds early that Sunday morning. Around 3:45 a.m., roughly 6 hours after the Copley Road bridge sighting, she was making a delivery at the residences around the UVA campus.
When I got to the opening to the West Lawn, she was just standing there. And she was tall, blonde. Her hair was stuck inside of her jacket. So I just stood there while they walked slowly by me. I just noticed she had all black on. She had black jacket, black skirt, no tights, knee-high boots, and the 3 white young males walking with her. I felt like it's 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, why is she out here with a mini skirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these 3 guys? So when she walked up the steps on my side of the pavilion, I looked her dead in the face.
The next morning, Parsons says she saw Morgan Harrington's photo on the front page of the local newspaper.
I looked at the picture and light bulbs just went on in my head. I said, yeah, I saw that young lady. I saw Morgan Harrington on the West Lawn.
Parson called the tip line with her story, but she says the police didn't take her seriously.
I think that they did a very unprofessional job in the way that they handled my tip.
The investigators say they vetted Parsons' tip very carefully.
The Lawn sighting has been investigated more than once by a couple of our investigators who've gone back at different times. We even used bloodhounds to go over there and try to see if whether or not the scent for Morgan was there. So we haven't discarded that information. We just have not. That could come to play later on as more information is unraveled. As it is right now, we cannot corroborate that sighting.
But reporter Courtney Stewart checks out the story anyway.
Well, I followed it up by going to the room where she said she had seen this girl and these 3 boys coming out. And the student who was there said it's not possible, and he suggested that in fact there was a wedding reception that was being held in one of the larger, those pavilions, larger houses next door, and he thought that probably what she had seen was guests who were attending this reception leaving that area.
Norma Parson stands by her story.
I'm good at faces, and I may not know your name, but if I haven't seen you in 5 years, I will remember your face. When I saw her in that paper, I knew that was her.
Norma Parsons' story has an eerie similarity to another eyewitness account unearthed by Stewart.
A woman who was arriving from Richmond to attend the Metallica show said as she arrived, and she was coming a little late, she said a group of 4 young men accompanied by 1 young blonde woman wearing black boots and sort of an outfit that matched the description of what Morgan had been wearing, were crossed in front of her car, and she thought that the girl looked wobbly, and she wondered why they would be walking away from the arena when Metallica was about to come on.
With no physical evidence or surveillance video to support either account, it's impossible for police to know whether they are accurate.
Eyewitness accounts in a criminal investigation are very important, but eyewitness information generally always has to be corroborated and confirmed in some way.
With lead after lead falling through, the investigation falters. Then, on November 11th, 2009, the police get a call that may steer them towards some solid physical evidence in the case.
I was notified by the Charlottesville City Police Department that they recovered a shirt that was consistent with the one Morgan was wearing the night she was last seen.
A black t-shirt with tan letters spelling the band's name, Pantera, across the chest, is found by a student on the ground next to an apartment complex. The location, the intersection of 15th Street and Grady Avenue in Charlottesville, is an area heavily populated with university students. If the t-shirt is in fact Morgan's, it will be the first piece of physical evidence in the hands of police since Morgan's purse and its contents were found in the parking lot the day after she vanished. Will the shirt's discovery be the lucky break the police need to crack this case? Next, a disturbing find on a secluded farm takes the case in a new direction. November 11th, 2009. Virginia State Police finally get a piece of physical evidence that may bring them closer to solving the Morgan Harrington case. What appears to be Morgan's T-shirt is recovered 2 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia. The 20-year-old Virginia Tech student was last seen on October 17th outside the Metallica concert at the arena.
It was a student that was walking along over in near an apartment complex off Grady Avenue, and the shirt was just exposed to the viewing. We didn't believe it had been there before. We'd searched there before. We don't know the circumstances of how it got placed there or how it was found there, but in fact, it was there.
At this point, the Pantera T-shirt is the only new piece of evidence the investigators have to work with.
The shirt was sent to our forensic laboratory in Richmond, and they were able to recover some human hairs from the shirt, and utilizing those hairs and hairs that were obtained from some of Morgan's belongings and from her mother, we're able to determine that through mitochondrial DNA testing that was in fact Morgan's shirt.
But this potentially promising lead turns out to be just another dead end. No other clues are found in the area.
We interviewed numerous individuals who lived in an area and who walked through that area or passed through that area. Other than the shirt itself, we did not recover any other evidence in that immediate vicinity of where the shirt was found.
December 2009. Morgan has been gone for 2 months, and there is still no breakthrough in the case. Jill and Dan spend an agonizing Christmas without their daughter.
You know, hope springs eternal. And that's part of what makes the missing time excruciating, because you say, oh, is she chained in a shed somewhere? It's raining. Is she in the cold? Is she being fed? You fill in the blanks in a terrible way.
With no new leads, developments in the case slow to a standstill until January 26, 2010, when everything changes. David Bass, a farmer in Albemarle County, is taking a tractor ride along his property line to check on the fences. Have investigators found Morgan's remains, or do they belong to someone else? January 26, 2010. Police investigating the disappearance of Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington converge on Anchorage Farm in Albemarle County, Virginia, where skeletal human remains were found by the farm's owner, David Bass.
I was checking the fences and I thought I saw a dead deer, and I stopped, and it was a human skull, and that's when I called 911.
20-year-old Morgan Harrington has been missing since October 17, 2009. She was last seen hitchhiking on a bridge outside the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville.
Certainly, identification of any body, positive ID, is directly relevant to the condition of the body. You know, you send it to the medical examiner in Virginia, and they can do their DNA testing, they can do their dental records, and you know, things like that. And that's what you use for a decomposed body.
Her parents waited home for the results. 2 days later, a dental record match confirms that the remains found on the Anchorage farm are in fact Morgan Harrington's. It's devastating news for Morgan's parents.
It's the worst thing that you don't want to hear, and yet at the same time, it's what I expected. And there was some relief in that it wasn't missing anymore. You know, the missing is the worst thing.
Morgan, the Harringtons' youngest child, is dead. This missing persons case is now officially a homicide investigation. Because the investigation is ongoing, the police will not release her cause of death.
I cannot discuss the circumstances of her death as far as the cause. I can say that the medical examiner has determined that her manner of death is homicide.
To the investigators, the location of Morgan's body on the vast 700-plus acre farm may be the most telling clue to date.
The location is very remote. It's not easily accessed by a vehicle. It's a location that an individual would most certainly have to have prior knowledge of in order, you know, to get there.
I mean, we're talking having to cross over creeks and ravines and fences, go through gates. They felt low risk. They felt, I can get in here without being seen. I know where I want to go. I know the terrain. I know what I have to cross, what obstacles I have to cross. I mean, all that's pretty telling.
Armed with these new assumptions, the investigators continue to work the case. But as time goes by, no significant new leads develop. Until July of 2010, when a cold hit from a criminal case database connects forensic evidence from the Harrington investigation to another case. A 2005 abduction and rape in Fairfax County, Virginia, a Washington, D.C. suburb 3 hours away. But unlike Morgan, the victim of the Fairfax attack survived and was able to take a close look at the assailant. September 24th, 2005. A young woman was walking home from a grocery store in Fairfax, Virginia at 10 p.m. when she was grabbed from behind and dragged to a nearby community pool. The perpetrator sexually assaulted the victim, but took off running when startled by a passerby. The victim fought back, and the police were able to obtain the assailant's DNA. The woman also provided a sketch artist with a description of her attacker. 5 years later, a DNA match links the same man to the disappearance and murder of Morgan Harrington, although the police will not disclose how the match was made. The investigation in both cases is still ongoing, and the police have not yet identified a suspect.
Forensically, there's a DNA connection that Morgan Harrington at some point during her time at Charlottesville prior to her death came into contact with a person who has already been in the unknown subject DNA database for Virginia.
Investigators believe the information will eventually help them solve the case, but they continue to urge the public to utilize the tip line.
There's still a monumental amount of work that has to be done in this investigation, and I feel confident that we will develop a suspect, and I feel confident that this case will solve someday. I'm absolutely certain of that.
Jill and Dan Harrington visited the site where Morgan's remains were found. That discovery has given them some peace, but they struggle to absorb the tragic loss of their daughter.
You have to move forward. I don't think you don't get over it. You don't have closure. You get beyond it.
My daughter's not going to graduate from college. You know, she's not going to get married. She's not going to have children. She's not going to have a career. But the person that murdered my daughter is walking the streets and is doing all of those things. And I think the public needs to be aware of that there is someone out there that continues to walk the streets that has murdered and raped. We don't want another person to have to go through what our family has gone through. No one should have to go through what it's like to have a child murdered.
The Harringtons have dedicated themselves to keeping Morgan's memory alive.
We are able to make a positive impact in Morgan's name. She has a scholarship at the Virginia Tech Carilion Medical School where she worked with her dad. We're building a school for her in Zambia, Africa. So Morgan's not going to be able to go to Africa and teach those kids and see those kids, but a lot of kids will be educated in her name, in her honor, in her building.
On February 5th, 2010, the family held a memorial for Morgan at the St. Andrew's Church in Roanoke. Despite a blinding snowstorm, over 500 people showed up to celebrate her life.
This was about 10 days after Morgan's body was found, but we just felt we needed, I guess, some closure. The weather was unbelievable. Yeah, horrible. I mean, we had 6 to 8 inches of snow and sleet. You know, I mean, who comes out? You know, but people came out. It was pretty amazing.
There's such joy in having recovered a body and reclaiming, you know, we have what is ours again. And to not let her be erased.
Charlie Allen Jr. disappeared on Thursday, October 11th, 2007. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Charlie Allen's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to him. 22-year-old college student and tennis buff Charlie Allen goes after life with gusto.
He would eat, sleep, and breathe tennis.
If he wanted to be good at something, he wanted to be the best.
One afternoon, in typical Charlie fashion, he makes plans with a buddy to go to a party.
Charlie was really excited about the chance to go talk to girls and just to have a good time.
But he never shows up. On a chilly October night in 2007, Charlie Allen Jr. disappears.
I was trying him on his phone, no response.
The mystery deepens when his Facebook account is abruptly deleted, and he warns his family that people may be after him.
He said there are people after him, and he's not safe.
Police are baffled by the bizarre case.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this.
And his loved ones find themselves ricocheting between hope and despair.
I just felt like, he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
It's a chilly evening in southeastern Massachusetts in October 2007. 22-year-old UMass Dartmouth student Charlie Allen is running barefoot and shirtless along a wooded road a few miles from campus. The tennis junkie, who was once one of the world's top-ranked online gamers, is sure that someone is after him and that neither he nor his family is safe. This dash into the night will resonate with Charlie's loved ones as the moment everything went wrong. Just a few days earlier, Charlie heads over to nearby Providence, Rhode Island to meet his younger sister Brittany. 15 months apart, the two siblings are very close and see each other often.
Charlie and I grew up together. We did everything together. We always had like that connection. We would always be there for each other, you know? We saw each other all the time.
They catch up over lunch with their mother Anne, who comes down to see her kids a couple of times a month from her home a little more than an hour-and-a-half drive north in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
That was a great day. I just remember leaving feeling happy. He was doing good in school, played tennis, and he seemed happy. And I remember driving home feeling really good.
Charlie is the oldest of 3 kids in a tight-knit family.
Very close. Charlie and I could talk about anything and everything. He told me more, sometimes things I didn't really want to know.
He was a great kid growing up. Enjoyed playing baseball and was very good at school. He enjoyed life and he did well. He was in the honor society. He could get good grades without even trying hard.
Charlie grows up hanging out with friends in the neighborhood and enjoying vacations at the family's summer house in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Charlie had a lot of neighborhood friends, and our house was one of the gathering places.
He was just always like the light of the party. He was just very outgoing and just liked to have a good time.
He was a good guy. He seemed like, he had everything in order.
In high school, Charlie becomes interested in online gaming, competitions in which multiple players compete over the internet. He becomes especially good at the game Half-Life.
He was very determined. He would put a lot of time and effort into anything to make himself the best, and he was the best.
When Charlie first got into online gaming, he fell in love with it. He wanted to be #1.
Charlie's gamer name is Neo, and he soon becomes one of the top-ranked Half-Life players in the world, even traveling to Texas for a tournament.
He was considered the #1 player in the world. Standings, his stats, if you looked him up online, that would easily tell that.
He was very well regarded, one of the best in the world, and a lot of people knew him for that. They wrote articles about him and that kind of thing, so it was pretty impressive.
I remember in high school, and some stranger walked up to me and was like, "Are you Neo's sister?" It's like, yeah, I guess so. It's like, I love him.
After graduating high school, Charlie enrolls at UMass Dartmouth. He majors in psychology and gets good grades. He even thinks about going on to medical school after graduation. Having conquered the online gaming world, Charlie shifts his focus to tennis when he gets to college. He approaches it with the same determination to learn and be the best.
He ended up making the college team. He would dedicate himself to something, a passion, and he would spend pretty much all his time working at that particular thing and until he felt he was mastering it.
It was all I talked about. He would study it, the strategies of the game, and he would play all the time. He would eat, sleep, and breathe tennis.
He was always a happy-go-lucky guy, always had a positive attitude.
On the courts at UMass Dartmouth, Charlie meets fellow student Mason Vio.
I had gone down there to practice. I had seen him. He had asked me to hit, so we started hitting and we got it off from there.
The two quickly bond over their mutual love of tennis.
Charlie was a quick learner. He had developed his skills pretty quickly, and he had a good forehand. He liked coming to the net, and he was able to stay out there with anyone.
Charlie is fascinated when Mason tells him he trained at tennis academies in Florida, something Charlie aspires to do himself.
Charlie wanted to get a lot better. He had always said he wanted to go down south and just train to see how good he could get.
At 2 o'clock on Thursday, October 11th, 2007, Charlie and Mason meet on the courts to practice.
We had practiced for 2.5 hours, just playing a little bit and just doing some drills. Nothing really seemed out of the ordinary. We had a great practice.
Charlie tells Mason that he's been invited to a party later that evening by a member of the girls' tennis team. He asks Mason to join him.
He was really excited about the party, the chance to go talk to girls on the tennis team and just to have a good time. Charlie was really excited and was happy that we were both going to go.
The two friends grab dinner at the school cafeteria and then go their separate ways to shower and clean up. They agree to meet back on campus at 8:30 and go to the party together. Around 6 p.m., Mason heads to his house nearly a half hour away. Mason assumes Charlie is headed to his off-campus apartment in nearby New Bedford.
I told Charlie that I would see him later tonight and the party should be good, and I will give you a call when I get back.
At 8 o'clock that night, at her apartment in Providence, Charlie's sister Brittany is checking her Facebook account.
We talk to each other on Facebook every day. He loved Facebook.
Charlie had messaged her earlier that evening, and she wanted to get back to him. But when she logs on, she is shocked at what she finds. Coming up, in a matter of moments, Charlie's world appears to unravel.
I could hear over the phone, his heart dropping. He got really scared.
Famous among his friends and family for his passion for tennis, 22-year-old Charlie Allen Jr. is finishing up his senior year of college. October 11th, 2007, his sister Brittany logs onto Facebook to respond to a message Charlie sent her earlier. She is thrown by what she discovers.
His account was deleted. He didn't exist on there anymore. And so I thought it was crazy that all of a sudden he would delete it and he wouldn't even tell me.
Brittany calls Charlie to find out what happened.
At first I was just like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm walking, just thinking about going to this girl's party. I was like, okay, well, called because I was wondering, why did you delete your Facebook? And I could just like hear over the phone him, like his heart dropping. It was like all of a sudden, he got really scared.
Brittany is confused when Charlie tells her he has no idea what happened to his Facebook page and that he didn't delete it.
And then he just started panicking. He's talking really fast, just in a panic.
What Charlie tells her next is stunning.
There are people after him, and he's not safe, and I'm not safe. It's like, you have to leave school right now. You have to go home, stay with Dad. Dad's the only one who can protect you. There are really important people after me. I've sent some emails, and I'm not safe. Right before he hung up, he said, all the answers are in the periodic table of elements.
Distraught and bewildered, Brittany calls her father.
I was really freaked out, and I called my dad crying, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but Charlie he just scared me.
Brittany had been very close to Charlie, but with the way that he was talking to her, she was very concerned about his well-being. And at the same time, my wife and I both had received cell phone messages from Charlie where he sounded like he was running and talking about maybe heading south. You know, it was definitely concerning.
In the message Charlie leaves for his father, he mentions Mexico and Florida. In the voicemail he leaves for his mother, he talks of Texas.
I had had a message from Charlie, which was really out of character of him. He had told me that he needs to be loved more and that he felt isolated. He was running at the time that he was talking to me. He was out of breath. Then he kind of hung up abruptly. And I tried calling him back, and he had turned off his cell phone.
Charlie's parents and sister all try to reach him on his cell phone, but every call goes to voicemail. That same evening, on the UMass Dartmouth campus, Mason heads to the campus parking lot where he and Charlie are meeting to go to the party together. But Charlie never shows.
I'd waited about a half an hour to 45 minutes before I had left. I figured Charlie probably went to the party and just forgot about me.
Mason tries one more time to reach Charlie. He gets voicemail and heads home. Meanwhile, Charlie's mother, father, and sister keep trying, but fail to reach him.
Charlie had taken off a couple of times, usually just to go see a tennis tournament. He'd always get in touch with us the same day or the next day, and so we figured he'd turn up the next day.
But Charlie doesn't turn up, and he doesn't call. His parents notify the university that Charlie has vanished. October 14th, 2007. 3 days after Charlie is last seen, police are called to investigate something suspicious a homeowner found in his backyard. Detective Robert Levinson of the Dartmouth Police Department is the patrolman on duty.
On Sunday, October 14th, at around 11 o'clock in the morning, I was dispatched to a residence in town for some found property. Specifically, it was a backpack, a school-type backpack.
Levinson looks through the backpack and finds a notebook.
The name in the notebook was Charles Allen. I contacted the university campus, and from there I found out that Charles Allen Jr. had been reported missing.
Bloodhound units are sent out to see what, if any, trace they can find of the college student. The canine search comes up empty, but over at UMass Dartmouth, campus police make a discovery. They find Charlie's Ford Expedition in a school parking lot. Inside the car is a pillow and blanket.
It appeared as if that maybe Charlie had been sleeping in his vehicle rather than in his home.
Up to this point, Charlie's family has assumed they would hear from him at any moment. But their concern turns to fear with the discovery of Charlie's car.
When they found his car, that's when I I couldn't deal with it. Because why would he leave his car?
Monday, October 15th, the day after the car and backpack are discovered. Officer Levinson is talking about the case with a fellow cop. When he describes Charlie, his colleague tells him that the college student sounds just like a suspect in another case.
There had actually been a housebreak not too far away from the campus.
In the early morning hours of Friday, October 12th, a little more than 6 hours after Brittany last spoke to her brother, Jean Boudreau wakes to find someone with no shirt on climbing through her second-floor bedroom window.
When she awoke, she had a brief conversation with this gentleman who had entered her window.
And he says, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am, I'm just leaving." He was looking for his friend Mason, and then he just proceeded to go out the window. He was actually very polite.
Levinson is sure it's Charlie. The physical description is a match, and he has already learned that Charlie has a friend named Mason.
Just based on the physical description and the clothing description of the person who entered this resident's home, that person was more than likely Charlie Allen.
This discovery only intensifies the mystery. Charlie's tennis buddy lives nowhere near the home that was broken into.
It was a good 30 minutes away, and he had known where I lived. So I thought that was a little strange.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Coming up, the search for Charlie becomes more urgent.
Time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
College student Charlie Allen Jr. leaves a series of worrisome messages on his parents' cell phone. And after a disturbing conversation with his sister, he disappears. When investigators seemingly tie the 22-year-old to a break-in at a home several miles from Charlie's UMass campus, the case becomes even more puzzling.
Charlie was not a known criminal. This wasn't his normal behavior to break into someone's house.
But police learned something about Charlie that they think may explain this behavior.
The father told me that his son was bipolar and manic depressive, and he had acted irrational at times, and he might not have been taking his medication as he was supposed to. So it would all make sense that he was in some type of a manic state, and he was acting irrational.
Years earlier in high school, Charlie was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition that involves alternating periods of mania and depression.
He became a bit manic, and was a pretty big change for him. He had been somewhat shy in school up to that point, and suddenly he was very outgoing, and it was noticeable. When he was manic, he talked a lot and fast, and he had somewhat grandiose thoughts. When he was diagnosed in high school, he took medication for some period of time and started seeing a therapist and seemed to do better. He finished high school, graduated, and it went well when he went to college.
But in recent years, Charlie had an on-again, off-again relationship with his psychiatric medication.
When they diagnosed him with bipolar disorder and they put him on, like, mood stabilizers, he said he wasn't the same. He felt, like, dead inside. He didn't get happy or sad. I remember one time I was so upset about something, like hysterically crying to him about it, and he looked at me and he was like, I'm just jealous that you can feel like that, feel passionately about something, even if it's bad, because he didn't.
The summer before he disappeared, Charlie stopped taking the drugs altogether.
Eventually, he stopped taking the medication on his own. Things had leveled out. He tried to maintain his physical well-being in relationship to his mental well-being, and he seemed like he was somewhat under control doing it that way.
He was like, I wasn't alive before. I feel like I'm living for the first time.
Police suspect Charlie's disappearance is connected to his bipolar disorder, and that off his medication, he may have slipped into a manic state.
We believed that we were dealing with a mentally ill individual, and time was of the essence to find him before he had hurt himself or something even worse.
But the people who know Charlie best, his family and friends, find it impossible to believe that Charlie's condition is serious enough to make him want to disappear.
People don't understand, mental illness, where people call mental illness, and once they hear that label, it's like, oh, he probably just ran away, or he's probably schizophrenic, he has no idea, he's just crazy. I think he's more sane than anyone I've ever met.
Even when Charlie was manic, he always made sense. He never lost touch with reality.
Charlie's mother, who saw him just days before he disappeared, says there would usually be a build-up to a manic episode, and during her recent visit with her son, there was no evidence of that at all.
It starts off slow and it builds and it's built and it's built. That's the way it was with Charlie. You just don't lose your mind in 1 minute and run away.
There were no signs indicating that he was going to have a breakdown of any kind, so it all seemed a little strange to me.
In fact, Mason, who saw Charlie several times a week, had no idea his friend was bipolar.
That was news to me because he had always been really level-headed, happy-go-lucky. It hung out with him a lot. There was nothing to suggest that he was depressed or bipolar at all.
But in hindsight, Mason does remember something a little odd from the last day he saw Charlie.
At dinner time, Charlie and I went to the school cafeteria, and when we had sat down, he reached across to grab pizza from my plate. I thought that was a little strange. I'd mentioned it, and he said he thought that it was his slice of pizza. We both kind of laughed it off.
In another strange twist, police also learned that shortly before he disappeared, Charlie legally changed his name from Charles Allen Jr. to Neo Babson Maximus.
One day, I got home from work, and he's like, check this out. I changed my name. And he took out his license, and he showed it to me, and it said, Neo Babson Maximus. And I just laughed. I was like, you serious? What the hell is this? I just kind of like brushed it aside, like, well, I'm still calling you Charlie. I'm not calling you Neo in the public.
Neo, Charlie's online gaming name, is taken from the movie The Matrix, while Maximus comes from the film Gladiator. Babson is a family name.
I asked him why, and he wanted it to be different. And he wanted to be the best tennis player in the world. That was his goal. And he thought that it'd sound a lot better if he had a different name.
Charlie didn't talk widely of the name change. In fact, many are later surprised to find out about it.
Charlie had never mentioned anything about changing his name. I did not know Charlie had changed his name until after he had gone missing.
Police see the name change as further evidence of Charlie's troubled state of mind.
I don't know what makes a person decide to change their name. Not only do we have a person that's missing, we have an individual that legally changed his name, and perhaps, did he do that to escape his past, to start a new life? Maybe I don't know. I mean, I guess there's so many possible answers out there.
Charlie's family last heard from him on a Thursday. A week later, there is still no word.
I just felt like he'll call tomorrow. It would just be too unbearable to think otherwise.
His parents think back to the baffling voicemails he left each of them just before his disappearance, talking about heading south. His last conversation with his sister Brittany is equally confusing. Charlie told Brittany that people were after him and he wasn't safe, but none of his friends are aware of any danger he may have been facing or any enemies he may have had.
Charlie didn't have any enemies. I mean, he was just a happy guy and was everyone's friend. So for him to have enemies was a little far-fetched, it seemed.
The kid wasn't really a troublesome kid. I mean, he never picked fights. He wasn't like a mean person. I don't know why he said that.
Police don't find any evidence to indicate that anyone is after Charlie or that he had been in danger. But Charlie's mother and sister don't believe Charlie's fears are imaginary.
I didn't think that there was any chance in hell that he was just having an illusion that there were people after him. I could tell that he was being honest. He was really scared, and I believe it.
Coming up, could Charlie have hitched a ride out of town?
I feel confident that it was that student.
Charlie Allen Jr. is last seen in early October 2007. The college student suffers from bipolar disorder, and police seemingly link him to a home break-in. Law enforcement devotes every resource available to search around the UMass Dartmouth campus and in neighboring New Bedford.
I think the fact that Charlie did suffer from some type of mental illness made it all the more urgent to search the woods and to reach out to as many people who knew Charlie and that maybe had seen him within the last few days before he disappeared.
Police find Charlie's sneakers along a road not far from the house he allegedly broke into, which seems to confirm their suspicion that he was the shirtless intruder.
The search escalated from the use of Massachusetts State Police helicopter to a widespread search with multiple people searching for Charlie in the wooded area. It's a very dense wooded area in that part of Dartmouth.
Now, with no shirt, no shoes, and wearing just a pair of warm-up pants, how far could the college student have made it in the cool, rainy October weather?
If anybody could figure out a way to survive, it would be Charlie. He knew how to take care of himself, and so he was definitely the type of person that would find a way if he wanted to.
When Charlie's family reports that he had a very active online life, police check Charlie's computer for possible clues to his whereabouts.
There was nothing really all that helpful on his computer that would lead us in a different direction. The detective who checked the computer did not report anything out of the ordinary.
The only finding of interest is that one of the last pages Charlie looked at online was a website for the University of Texas. In the voicemail he left for his mother, he mentioned going to Texas. Had Charlie been researching a secret move south?
We contacted the university down there and just to inquire whether Charlie had in fact applied at that university, and we were told that no, there was no file with his name attached to it.
If Charlie had an interest in going to Texas, he would tell me, because he knows I would say, if you want to do that, hon, do it.
Charlie's mother is more concerned with what police didn't find on his computer. Charlie had told his sister he was in trouble because he had sent some emails to important people, but those emails are nowhere to be found. In fact, all of Charlie's recent emails are missing.
There were no emails before he went missing. There were no emails from October 11, 10th, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. But I just thought it was really strange.
Blows my mind that we could give Charlie's computer to the police to do the forensics, and someone who lived his entire life on the computer. They found nothing. He, lived a virtual life, and they found nothing.
If there is any truth to the notion that someone was after Charlie, could they have tampered with his computer and purposely wiped it clean? Or could it have been Charlie himself who did it? Could the online phenom have intended to take himself off the grid?
if he wanted to change his identity, I'm pretty sure he could have done it. I mean, he's pretty creative in, the terms of being able to, act, and be something, different. He did change his name, so I guess, in a sense, his identity was kind of altered already.
According to his friends and family, Charlie had a knack for mastering things quickly. Could he have been equally adept at setting up his own disappearance? Was changing his name a first step in creating a new identity? Charlie's family has a hard time.
He loved his apartment, he loved his classes, he loved playing tennis, and then all of a sudden it's all like gone.
Charlie has been missing for more than a week. With no news concerning his whereabouts, his family is getting increasingly desperate.
We couldn't sleep, trouble eating, crying all day. It was just unimaginable. It actually was just, difficult to function. Every second of every day, you'd be thinking about it. And it's just totally unimaginable.
Did Charlie flee in a manic state brought on by bipolar disorder? Did he decide to create a new identity someplace else? Or, as he told his sister, were people really after him?
There are numerous scenarios as to what could have happened to Charlie Allen. He was in our town. Someone had seen him. Someone had interacted with him. After that, it's anyone's guess what happened.
Finally, a few weeks after Charlie is last seen, a witness comes forward. Jim Costa is an electric company troubleshooter. On a Saturday morning in October 2007, he leaves early for work.
Driving down Cross Road, I did notice a young man, no shirt on, and he looked rather disheveled. He looked shaken. He didn't look that good. And I saw that young man walking towards a truck, maybe to ask for help, or maybe he was slept in that truck. I didn't know.
While the young man sounds like he could be Charlie, Costa is not able to remember exactly when he saw him, the Saturday just days after Charlie disappeared, or the Saturday a week later.
If it was the right day, I feel confident that it was that student.
The intersection is near the UMass Dartmouth campus. It is also along Route 6, a major thoroughfare that feeds right onto Interstate 195.
We haven't been able to confirm if that was in fact Charlie.
But if it was, what happened? Did he approach the truck driver for help or a ride?
It's possible he could have gotten on the truck and left the area. That opens up a whole new door for us, or for the family. It gives us hope that maybe Charlie is alive.
December 2007. Charlie has been missing for more than 2 months, and the trail is growing cold.
After a certain time frame in any investigation, after a couple of searches had been conducted, the phone stopped ringing. The leads just weren't coming in. We sort of hit a wall in the investigation.
It just became more excruciating. Anxiety increased tenfold every day with nothing being found.
While Charlie's shoes and backpack were quickly located, there is no sign of his cell phone or his wallet. His father keeps Charlie's bank and cell phone accounts active, just in case.
The bank card was never used after he had disappeared, and actually the cell phone itself, I still have the account active, just in case. Every time the phone rang here at home, it would be, your heart would jump. You think it's him or somebody calling about him. Every time, you hear a car pull up or somebody come to the door, you think it could be him.
For about 5 or 6 months, I called him every single day, multiple times. I'd leave him voicemails and stuff, to the point where you couldn't leave him voicemails anymore. The phone would just keep ringing, or it would just hang up on you.
Charlie's family prays for answers. But as the days wear on, they are left with only questions. Where is he? What happened to him, and why hasn't he called? It is impossible for them to believe that Charlie has intentionally cut them off. But it is even more horrifying to imagine that he may have done so against his will.
So, it's just like you're suspended. Sometimes I pray for answers, and then I think, oh wait, is that really what I want? What if, he's dead, but it's still eats away at you, you know? You can't find peace unless you figure it out.
Coming up, a group of private investigators and a fresh search offer new and disturbing leads in the case.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped.
The disappearance of 22-year-old college student Charlie Allen Jr. devastates his family and confounds police.
It's very frustrating. Is it possible he's out there and doesn't really remember who he is? I don't know. I personally would like to believe that he's alive and he's out there somewhere.
Several months after Charlie's disappearance, his family is dismayed by the lack of movement in the investigation. They reach out to a private investigator, John Lasise.
Charlie Allen Sr. contacted me, and they were just devastated that they hadn't been able to locate him. Described him as very intelligent, loved his family, and they knew that he was off his medication. He was manic. He believed that he was being stalked. People were after him and his family.
Lasise takes on the case pro bono and forms a cold case team with several other PIs to help. They start by considering the area where Charlie was last seen and weighing whether or not he could still be somewhere in the vicinity.
Could he be in the woods? Absolutely. He may have committed suicide. He may have fallen into foul play. It's all a possibility.
The first order of business is to organize a new and comprehensive search of the 4-square-mile wooded area bordering UMass Dartmouth. The terrain is dense and difficult to navigate. Alive or dead, if Charlie is in the woods, Lasise is confident that they'll find him. Police have already explored the area, but Lasise and his partners plan a much larger and deeper search, employing ground searchers, ATVs, helicopters, canine units, and cadaver dogs. More than 300 people take part, and the massive effort kicks off on the year anniversary of Charlie's disappearance.
This search is the largest civilian-run search that we're aware of in New England.
Private investigator Alan Tate coordinates the search. As guides, he uses Charlie's last known location, as well as where his shoes and backpack were found.
To search this area here, although on the map it looks nice, wide, and open, on the ground it's very thick and very difficult for ground searchers to navigate through.
Charlie's friend Anthony is one of the many volunteer searchers.
I was kind of hoping we didn't find anything, because obviously who wants to, I mean, you want closure sometimes, but at the same time, I mean, I'm the type where I don't want to give up, so it's like I don't want like an ending that's not positive.
But on the third day of the search, a team including Charlie's own cousin comes across some bones.
When we got the call, our hearts just dropped. Obviously, after that period of time, you know, it's almost like you might expect it's going to happen, that they would find him. You know, so it was, your hearts drop, but you feel like this is finally it.
For like 24 hours, we didn't know if they were his bones. It's not a fun situation to be in.
When they found the bones, I couldn't even describe to you what that feels like. We just pretty much died.
But the bones turn out to be animal, not human remains.
It was difficult to do the search, but it was something that was necessary to do. We knew it needed to be done, and in my opinion, the outcome was good. You know, that he wasn't found.
I was just exhilarated. You didn't find anything.
I don't believe that Charlie is in the woods. I believe at this point that Charlie made it out.
But where did he go? While the search indicates that it is unlikely Charlie or his body is in the woods, it still offers no clues to what happened to the college student.
There's so many different ways you can look at it. I personally am trying to remain positive. I'd like to think that he's out there somewhere and he's still alive. I think that if Charlie had passed away, I think we would have come across him by now.
The only place to go with this investigation right now is to assume that he is alive and see if we can find him.
As the months pass, there is no word from Charlie and no sign of him anywhere. The investigation appears to have hit a dead end, but his friends remain hopeful.
I feel like wherever he wanted to go, he had a plan. And if the plan didn't work out, 100% the way he wanted it to, the way he thinks, he would have a backup plan. He would have ways of getting by if stuff didn't go the way he wanted it to go.
I think Charlie wandered off. I think he probably is somewhere down south playing tennis like he wanted to.
December 2009. More than 2 years since Charlie disappeared, there's a possible sighting of him much closer to home.
It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was sleeping.
Stephen Kelly and his wife are asleep in bed in their New Bedford, Massachusetts home, 11 miles from the UMass Dartmouth campus.
I heard the door knock. So, I ran to the door, and I opened the door, and there was a young man standing at the door. Wasn't dressed for the weather. He shouldn't have been outside at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said he needed help getting back to SMU.
SMU stands for Southeastern Massachusetts University, what UMass Dartmouth was called until 1991.
My wife was panicking. She thought that it was maybe going to be like home invasion if I went outside. So we shut the door and called the police.
But by the time police get there, the young man is nowhere to be found. The next day, Kelly's wife mentions the incident to a friend, who tells her about Charlie's disappearance. When Kelly hears about it, he looks up pictures of the UMass student online.
When I looked at the pictures, I'm like, that's the kid that was standing at our front door.
Could it have been Charlie Allen? Kelly tells police he thinks it was.
He said close to 100%, which is very high for someone to, make that type of a statement. But, I believe in his mind that, he really felt that he saw Charlie. It brings sort of a new element to this whole investigation. When I think about it sometimes, I think this is it's such an odd story that sometimes you almost wonder, if it's real or not.
It would be a wonderful movie of the week if Charlie shows up some morning on the doorstep of his parents and asks if he can come home. So that's my hope.
Charlie's information and fingerprints are entered into the National Crime Information Center database.
In the future, if Charlie is placed under arrest or protective custody, and if his fingerprints are checked, it will show that he's a missing person.
To date, there have been no hits.
In my time here as a police officer, we've never encountered a story such as this. So you just want answers. I know the family wants it. I know all the investigators. We just want to know. We want to know what happened to Charlie Allen Jr. All we ask for is some closure, I think. That's what the family deserves, at least. He's still out there, somewhere.
Charlie's family continues to hope that Charlie is safe and that they will one day hear from him.
Charlie would never just disappear. And he knows me well enough and his family to know that how much it would hurt. I have no idea where he is or if he's alive. It's like the ultimate internal struggle. Because you can't really grieve over something that you don't know.
I don't believe for 1 minute that Charlie left because he wanted to. He just wouldn't.
I have to hold out hope that Charlie's still out there. I have no other choice. I can't give in to the thought that I'll never see him again.
Braden Fuchsa disappeared on Monday, July 15th, 2009. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Braden Fuchsa's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to him. Braden Fuchsa vanishes in summer 2009.
It was just so out of character.
His parents panic when they discover a missing handgun.
My heart just sank.
And a puzzling trail of clues that he's left in his wake.
We didn't know if he hid north, south, east, or west.
Authorities discover that this young man has been guarding a dark secret.
Braden was pretty freaked out about having spent a night in jail.
And the search for him turns into a manhunt 700 miles away.
At this point, they would probably be looking for a body.
It's July 2009. 22-year-old Braden Fuchsa is enjoying summer on his own. He's just moved out of his parents' house into an apartment in the college town of Lawrence, Kansas.
Braden was really dead set that he wanted to be out on his own. He had the opportunity to move in with an individual that he went to school with. They had found him an apartment, and they were going to move in together.
It was a big deal for me for him to leave home, but he wanted to be independent, which we encourage. I mean, you have to let him go at some point.
Braden still sees his parents often, visiting them at home in Olathe, just 20 miles east of Lawrence.
He'd come over to eat and he'd come over to get leftovers. Todd likes to grill, and so that was Braden's big thing, was to grill, and he would come over and they would trade cooking secrets and recipes.
Braden also stops by regularly on his way to and from work. He's a security guard at a large outdoor retailer in Olathe, not far from his parents' house.
He said his dream job would be to work at Bass Pro, so he could be around the fishing rods and the guns and everything.
When he's not at work, Braden spends almost all his time doing outdoor activities.
Braden, from the get-go, enjoyed the outdoors. We boated, we skied and tubed and wakeboard. Every free moment that we had, we were fishing. He was an outdoors person, 100%.
He's been camping since he can remember, since he was a toddler.
What is that? Fish. Did you catch him?
He loved to fish, and he loved to hunt.
Braden has an especially strong affinity for mountains, which was apparent on a family trip to Colorado in 2007.
He had more fun that week. He was constantly, oh, let's stop and do this, and let's stop. You know, we were hiking, and I mean, he was just beside himself.
In mid-July 2009, Braden's parents are out of town for a couple days. When they get back home Wednesday the 15th, Starla contacts Braden.
I text him because he knew we had been out of town and told him that we were home, we had made it okay.
Starla exchanges several texts with her son. She tells him that she and Todd have plans to see a film that night.
I told him I hated to cut our time short, but I had to go because the movie was going to start, and I'd talk to him later.
Starla and Todd spend the evening relaxing at the movies. But when they get home, they notice something odd.
Todd had gotten on the computer and was looking, and he said, Braden transferred some money.
It's not a big deal. It's usually one of the type of situations where Braden or a daughter would call and say, I'm short on money, I don't get paid till Friday, can you float me some money? And it happened all the time.
But this time, the amount that Braden has transferred is much higher than usual.
It was $800. Usually we're talking $300-400. Just enough to pay his portion of the rent or insurance being due or something like that. I made a phone call to him and got his voicemail, left him a message just asking him what's up, were you in trouble, and you got enough money.
Starla and Todd go to bed feeling curious, but not overly worried about the transfer. They figure their son will give them an explanation in the morning. But the next day, Braden doesn't call.
Thursday came around, still hadn't heard from him, and it wasn't like Braden. Starla and him were very close. They text back and forth daily.
Then, another day passes without word from Braden. His parents spend the rest of the week searching for him, making a routine of calling regularly and driving by his apartment and work to look for him.
We didn't know what was going on. We just bound and determined we were going to keep up the ritual of, going to his hangouts and try to find him.
Although Braden's parents are very worried, they don't call the police, wanting to respect their son's newfound independence. But they do reach out to his friends, including his ex-girlfriend, Elena Ryan. The young couple dated for almost 4 years, breaking up only a year and a half earlier.
I spoke with Starla and told her that I had seen Braden at a gas station in town. But it was a very brief interaction, just kind of a hi, how you doing sort of thing. He didn't seem overly eager to talk to me. And because he had been trying to pursue a reconciliation prior to that, that seems a little strange.
Elena's encounter with Braden is only hours before Starla's last text with her son on Wednesday, July 15th. His parents' concern grows.
I mean, you can imagine the worry. We were both a wreck.
It's been 4 full days since Starla and Todd have heard from their son. They're at a loss as to what to do next when they have a sudden suspicion.
For some reason, on Sunday morning, we got up and it was just one of those feelings.
In our master bedroom closet, there's a shelf in there.
We kept a 9mm in the closet for protection. Our granddaughter had been there 2 weeks before, and I had put it up high in the closet so that she could not get it. So I had just seen it the week before when I'd went and checked on it.
So I seen the gun case there up on the shelf, and I don't know why I did it, but I just grabbed a hold of the gun case itself. It was empty. And my heart just sank.
Only family members know where the gun is kept. Todd and Starla are sure that Braden has taken it.
The gun was gone. And we become very nervous, and Todd said, we're gonna file a police report now.
The search for Braden takes on a new urgency. Where did he go? And why does he need a gun?
It's the worst feeling in the world. Our stomachs just dropped.
Coming up, Braden's parents are prevented from filing a missing persons report for their son.
Our emotions were extremely high at that point. We didn't know what else to do.
Todd and Starla Fuchsa have not seen or heard from their 22-year-old son Braden in 4 days, despite repeatedly trying to contact him. But the alarms really go off when a handgun goes missing from their home.
The minute we discovered the gun was missing, we went straight to the police.
But at the Olathe Police Department, the Fuchsas are not permitted to file a missing persons report for Braden because he is over 21 and no longer living at home.
Our problem was he was an adult. He's still our child, but they don't see it that way.
They actually told us since he was living in Lawrence with a roommate, the roommate would need to be the one that submitted the report.
And it was kind of frustrating because our emotions were extremely high at that point. We didn't know what else to do.
Just in conversation, I mentioned that, well, he's got my pistol. That changed the whole subject. They automatically took our report and filed it.
Braden's parents give police a detailed description of their son, his vehicle, and the handgun. Detective Kenton Thompson is put on the case.
I reviewed the report that we had this missing 22-year-old man, and that he basically had just disappeared. We've got the handgun gone from his parents' house, so obviously now we've got this concern of what's that about.
As Detective Thompson begins his investigation, Braden's parents go home and wait. But they can't stop thinking about the gun.
You don't know if he was gonna hurt himself, if something went wrong and he was protecting himself, if something had happened to him and somebody was after him. You just don't know.
Braden's parents are confident that their son is an experienced gun user.
He's been using a gun since he was big enough to walk. He was hunting by the time he was 5.
But they also know that the gun that Braden took from their house is not meant for hunting.
A lot of police carry 9mm. It's more for target shooting, and it's more of a protection gun than anything.
Braden's former girlfriend Elena is mystified as well.
Braden had his own guns. He had his own handgun. I know he had one in Lawrence. Why would he take his dad's handgun instead of his own?
Looking for information, Braden's parents try calling the last people to have contact with their son.
Braden's cell phone was part of our account, so I had access to his records.
And we took like the last 20 numbers and he texts them.
You know, this is Braden's dad. Haven't seen Braden in a little while. Can you please call me?
At first, no one responds. But slowly, calls start coming in, including one from Braden's roommate.
He called, and him and I visited a little bit, and he did not know where Braden had gone.
But his roommate does know something else.
We found out that on Wednesday, Braden grabbed his bag and told his roommate that he was coming over to Olathe to spend the night with Todd and I, with his parents.
But Braden's parents were home on Wednesday night, and Braden never showed up.
To say that he was coming to our house was nothing big, and the roommate wouldn't have checked it out. We wouldn't have thought anything about it.
Given Braden's lie, his parents tried to pin down their son's actual movements.
We knew he had been at our house at some time because the gun was missing. We have the neighbors across the street, and we went over and asked them if they had seen Braden, and they said yes, they had seen him at the house that morning and said he was there about 15 minutes or so. He had pulled in, waved to him, you know, hollered hi, went into the house, and come back out and waved to him again and got in his car and left. So that was about 10:30, 10:40.
It was later that same day that Starla last texted with Braden. His cell phone bill indicates that Braden didn't call or text anyone else after that point.
I had talked to him at 2:30, so that kind of gave us a timeline of what he was doing.
As Braden's parents try to put all the pieces together, another clue surfaces. Todd receives a call from Megan Loach, who, unknown to his parents, is Braden's new girlfriend.
I met Braden at a party in Lawrence at the end of May 2009. Braden is really funny. He's the center of anything. Everybody who was at the party was there for Braden. Everybody knew Braden, and he made me laugh. I instantly liked Braden, and I think he instantly liked me.
Megan and Braden have only been dating for 2 months. But she feels close enough to him that she is disturbed by his behavior the last time they meet, the night before he disappears.
He spent the night at my house. We made dinner and we were hanging out. Braden was just really upset and just not his normal self. Braden's really outgoing and he's always making people laugh, and it was weird to see him just worried. He just looked worried.
The next morning, Wednesday, the day he disappears, Braden leaves abruptly.
I think it was about mid-morning. Braden got up and left, and he usually doesn't leave without saying goodbye or something, or he usually hangs around. And then I had heard a car start in the parking lot. So I looked out my window and he was pulling out. So I texted him and said no goodbye or not saying goodbye anymore or something. Braden just texted me back and said goodbye, Megan. That was it. That was the last time I had talked to him.
4 days later, no one, including his parents, has heard from Braden. And the next phone call sends the Fuchsas even deeper down the rabbit hole.
Later that afternoon, we got a phone call from the police department. They had located his vehicle in Douglas, Wyoming area.
Coming up, Braden has been hiding a dark secret from his family.
We would never have suspected that something like this was going on, ever. It was almost like a Twilight Zone moment.
On July 15th, 2009, Braden Fuchsa leaves his home in Lawrence, Kansas. His whereabouts are completely unknown by his friends and family. Then, 4 days later, police report that his vehicle has been found in Wyoming.
What is in Wyoming? He knew no one in Wyoming, and why is he going that direction? what was causing him to go there. We were just a little dumbfounded, to be honest. There was a lot going through our minds.
Wyoming Highway Patrol found the vehicle as an abandoned vehicle. They did a check on it at 10:44 a.m. on Thursday, July 16th. There's no one around it. Now, at that point, Braden had not been reported missing, so they left because they had no other information available to them.
3 days later, on Sunday, July 19th, Braden's parents filed a missing persons report. It's only then that Braden's information is entered into the National Crime Information Center database and made available to authorities across the country.
We got what's called a delayed entry hit off of that tag, which told us that back on the 16th, that tag was run by the Wyoming Highway Patrol.
Braden's parents tell the police that as far as they are aware, their son doesn't know anyone in Wyoming, nor has he ever been there. The development in the case makes them very uneasy.
I mean, there's just so many missing pieces to this whole thing. The more information that kept coming up, the more confused we got, and it was just so out of character.
Looking for answers, Detective Thompson contacts many of the same people that Braden's parents have spoken to. He agrees that something seems very wrong.
I work a lot of juvenile cases, and typically the first people I talk to is their girlfriend or their boyfriend and their best friend. Those two people. If anyone's going to have information, you usually have some idea of what has happened. And in this case, his roommate was his best friend, and he has no information. And Megan was completely surprised by it also.
Braden's former longtime girlfriend, Elena, isn't surprised that he didn't confide in anyone.
From my perspective, Braden didn't have a lot of close friends. He was a sweet, sweet guy, but he was very quiet. I don't know if I would call him shy, but he was just very quiet and didn't put himself out there.
But Braden's new girlfriend has a differing account of his character.
Braden was a very outgoing person. I'm kind of shy, so Braden definitely had to be more outgoing to get me kind of out of my shell. It's weird hearing about someone that you were so close to in a situation that you never expected. It started to become more like I never really knew Braden.
As Detective Thompson struggles to get some insight into Braden's actions, a possible motive emerges. Braden is facing potential prison time on a theft charge.
The theft charge resulted from Braden stealing some cash from his employer. It was a felony level theft, which means in Kansas it was over $1,000.
Braden's parents were not told of their son's arrest when they filed the missing persons report. When police call to notify them, they are stunned.
We were very shocked. He'd never been in trouble ever. I don't know if he'd ever even had a speeding ticket. He was not that kind of kid.
Braden is a straight go-forward kid. And when he was in trouble, his mom usually knew about it. He would confess. So, just anything to happen like that was just, it didn't happen with Braden.
But as Braden's parents think back to their son's behavior, the recent transfer from their account, as well as some earlier events, they begin to recognize signs of his growing money problems.
Towards the midsummer time frame, Bass Pro had cut his department to a limited amount of hours, and it left him with 8 hours for the entire week.
Still, Braden manages to keep his true financial state under wraps.
Braden reinforced us that he had enough side jobs that he was getting by.
But in reality, Braden's financial troubles are quickly catching up with him.
His roommate told me in June, Braden was late getting his share of the rent to him. He didn't think a whole lot about that at the time. But then in July, he was late again, and like a week late.
As Braden's parents later learn, Their son is so desperate for money that a week before he disappears, he dips into the till at work and gets caught.
Braden worked in security at Bass Pro. So his job was transferring money back and forth at closing time, putting stuff in the safe. The way we understand is they were closing up. Braden had taken money from the registers to the lockup spot. They confronted Braden when he come into work the next day. Braden said, yeah, it's back at my apartment. They brought in the police, talked to him a while. He confessed everything, and that police actually took him back to Lawrence to pick up the money. It's my understanding that he returned nearly all of the money. I don't think quite all of it, but nearly all of the money.
Despite his cooperation with the law, Braden is immediately taken into custody.
After that initial report was made and he was arrested, he was taken directly to the Johnson County Adult Detention Center.
Braden spends the night in jail. He is released the next day, but according to Braden's roommate, the harrowing experience of being locked up stays with him.
Braden was, quote, pretty freaked out about having spent a night in jail. Being arrested, you know, for him was a pretty major life event and was distressing for him.
Braden was scared. I think when he got arrested, they had exaggerated how much trouble he was in, and I think that Braden he's never been in trouble before, and he was just really frightened by that, and he thought he was going to go to jail for, you know, a couple of years.
Braden is due in court for a preliminary hearing on July 16th, but as the date approaches, Braden appears to set a plan in motion.
When he left his apartment on the 15th, he told his roommate, I'm going to go spend the night with my parents in Olathe, okay? That was Wednesday night. He had court the next day. Well, that is actually when he left.
When his case is called the next morning, Braden's car is already 2 states away, in Wyoming. Braden is nowhere to be found. All signs point to his being a fugitive from the law, but no one saw it coming.
We would never have suspected that something like this was going on, ever, because we've always had such an open relationship with our kids. It was almost like a Twilight Zone moment. It's like, what is this? I don't understand.
From his conversations with friends and family, Detective Thompson paints a portrait of what he believes to be Braden's last days in Kansas. A young man, ashamed of his crime and extremely afraid of getting a harsh sentence, panics and flees.
I believe his perception of it was that it was going to be much more serious for him than it probably would have been. This was the lowest level that would qualify as a felony theft. He didn't have any criminal history, so this would not have been a potentially serious sentence. It wasn't going to involve a prison term or anything like that. If he truly understood the likely outcome, perhaps he would not have been so distraught about the arrest.
Myself, my wife, the detective have all called and left voicemails on his phone saying that come back, hit your court date. This is not as bad as you think.
I'm Paula Zahn, and tonight we're on the case in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, about 2 hours west of Des Moines. It's a fast-growing Midwestern city where new high-rises and highways have not changed the small-town feel. That is, until the gruesome murder of Michelle Martinko changed everything. The sadistic attack on a teenager confirmed something most residents had refused to believe, that a big city crime could happen in their own backyard. December 20th, 1979. It was almost 2 a.m. on a cold December morning. And 18-year-old Michelle Martinko had still not come home from a night of holiday shopping. Who reported her missing?
Her mother reported her missing. She had
tried to call around to some friends, trying to find out if anyone had seen Michelle.
But no one had seen nor spoken with the responsible teenager in more than 4 hours.
My mother was very distraught about the whole evening.
Her parents told police that Michelle had attended a choir banquet that night, and afterwards she had gone to the brand new Westdale Mall to check out a special Christmas gift her mother had picked out for her, a new fur coat.
She was going to look at a coat my mother had on layaway, try it on, see if she liked it. My sister had called from the shopping mall saying that she could not find the store.
During that phone call at 8:45 p.m., Michelle's mother gave her directions, and when they hung up, the teenager sounded excited.
She was specifically at the mall to look for a fur coat that her mom had put aside.
That conversation was the last time Michelle ever spoke with her loved ones. The mall closed at 10 p.m. And when she wasn't home by 11, Michelle's family was combing the city, searching for her.
My father went out looking for her, going to all the usual places where kids hang out, and he did not find her.
Michelle had simply vanished. Janet Martinko told police she was sure something terrible had happened.
She gave police a description of the car, mentioned that she had last been at Westdale Mall, and we sent Officer Jim Kincaid out to Westdale Mall to check.
As the officer drove through the now empty parking lot, he noticed a green and tan Buick parked in a dark corner far from the stores.
Officer Kincaid parked near her car and walked up from the back. Almost immediately, he could see that the windows were frosted over.
The door on the driver's side was unlocked, and when the officer opened it, he was stunned to see a young girl crumpled into the front passenger side of the car.
He was able to see Michelle laying on the seat and the floorboard. Almost immediately, he could see that this was a crime scene.
Blood and wisps of the fur coat Michelle already owned obscured his view. But one thing was painfully clear.
He could tell that she was deceased.
Detectives arrived moments later. The sheer violence of Michelle's murder was unlike anything Cedar Rapids police had ever seen. How many times had Michelle been stabbed?
Well, Michelle had more than 20 knife wounds, cuts to her face, stab wounds to her chest, cuts to her hands. It was brutal.
How shocked was that police officer to find this victim in this horrible state?
It deeply affected him for his entire career.
The evidence indicated that the teenager had battled for her life.
Michelle had really deep defensive cuts in her hands, and I think she fought long and hard to prevent this.
Wedged underneath her lifeless body, investigators found her purse and the cash her mother had given her to buy the new coat. Was it determined if anything went missing?
No, she still had her purse. She still had $180 cash. There was no evidence that anyone tried to rob her.
In fact, there was no clear sign of a motive.
Michelle was found fully clothed. She had a black dress, she had her shoes still on, and she had pantyhose and underwear. There was no evidence that anyone had tried to forcibly undress her.
As detectives swabbed the blood-stained car and dusted it for fingerprints, they struggled to gather their emotions.
It was a time in Cedar Rapids where I think we still had a little bit of innocence and a little bit of naivety about just how big a town we were. We had a small town atmosphere, we still do, and we just didn't have high-profile murders.
But now they did. As investigators studied the totality of what they saw in the car, they began to formulate a theory of the type of suspect they were looking for. Did police believe whoever murdered Michelle was someone she knew?
With the absence of a sexual assault or a robbery, they start thinking, is the motive personal? Was someone angry at Michelle for something?
And that meant the hunt for a savage killer would begin close to home. Cedar Rapids police were investigating the vicious murder of Michelle Martinko. The high school senior had been found stabbed to death in the parking lot of what was then the city's brand new mall. As investigators searched for clues that might lead them to Michelle's killer, the teenager's loving family, including Michelle's sister Janelle and her husband John, were just getting the news. Who broke the news to you that Michelle had died?
Janet called when she said Michelle was murdered. I sat up straight in bed and it took my breath away.
You almost can't talk. It is just such a deep grief. It's just awful. We just hugged and cried.
The community rallied around the Martinkos. 18-year-old Michelle was outgoing, popular, and incredibly talented.
She did not have enemies. She was very well liked. She was very friendly. She would talk to anybody, and she was just kind.
What was it like for you to see Michelle come into her own?
It was really fun to watch her personality develop and blossom, watch her develop her talents, baton twirling, dance, music. She had a great joy of life.
What did she plan to do after she graduated?
She was going to college, and she was going to major in design. She was very excited about that.
But just days before Christmas, all of Michelle's dreams had ended during a brutal attack. Now, investigators trying to pick up her killer's trail had to focus on accounts from her friends and classmates about her final moments alive. Did anyone actually see her when she arrived at the mall?
Yes. There were students that had seen her parking her car.
Michelle had entered the mall around 7:30 and spent time talking and browsing before calling her mother at 8:45.
My sister asked, "Where is this coat?" And my sister eventually got to the right store, tried on the coat, and didn't like it.
Michelle continued to socialize and shop. Who did Michelle end up running into at the mall?
Michelle ran into a whole bunch of her friends. She ran into several of the boys from the choir, and then she ran into an old friend that she had met while working on a play at school named Kurt Thomas.
Kurt said he chatted with Michelle around 9 p.m.
Kurt worked at a store called Chess King, which was a men's clothing store, and Michelle walked by the store, and he decided to take his break at that time.
We had a conversation that lasted 30 minutes, and that's when I realized
I had to get back. So she said she was going to go home.
Kurt walked her to the mall exit. She was smiling as she waved goodbye. Kurt then went back into the store and helped his manager with a few last-minute shoppers before he punched out for the night.
There's the old good old-fashioned time clock that you punch. I pulled out the time card, punched it.
The story meant Michelle had left the mall just before closing at 10 p.m. And Kurt's timeline was verified by another classmate. Who was the last person to see Michelle that night as she was leaving the mall?
The last person to see Michelle that night was a gal named Cheryl Anders. Cheryl was walking into the mall just as Michelle was leaving. She stopped for a minute and finished a cigarette, and she looked across the parking lot and saw Michelle walking to the general direction where her car was parked.
Police believed that was just minutes before Michelle was confronted by her killer. Based on the position her body was found in, how did the attack unfold?
I believe that Michelle was walking out to her car by herself. I think Michelle put her items that she had purchased at the mall in the back seat.
Michelle entered the car and put the key in the ignition.
And I think before she could put that car in drive, the suspect snuck up on her, grabbed the door handle, opened it, and immediately entered the car.
Michelle's autopsy added weight to that theory. The report indicated that a bruise on Michelle's head was likely the result of a blitz attack.
The suspect hit her probably with the butt of the knife in the side of the head, trying to incapacitate her.
The evidence indicated the deadly attack was carefully planned. Was it pretty clear to the technicians once they started collecting evidence that the killer had worn gloves?
Yeah, almost immediately. They identified glove prints on the outside of the car. It was right on the handle. And then once you get inside the car, you could see that same exact pattern on the steering wheel, on the gear shift.
The gloves appeared to have been rubber or latex.
I call them dishwashing gloves. And what they did is they went out and bought another set of dishwashing gloves, and they actually rolled them like you would roll someone's fingerprints for comparison. And that's how they positively identified what kind of gloves the suspect wore.
What did technicians end up collecting in terms of evidence?
In 1979, one of the things that you're wanting to collect is blood. To compare for blood typing. So they collected her clothing, they collected stuff that had blood on it.
But who would have wanted to kill Michelle in such a public place? Those closest to the teenager pointed to a former boyfriend who had been seen at the mall that night. Would you describe Andy, her ex-boyfriend, as the first person of interest?
Yes, I think he was a very clear first person of interest.
Could a bad breakup have led to the murder of Michelle Martinko? Police trying to solve the grisly murder of Michelle Martinko were convinced that her killer was someone she knew. She had been ambushed and stabbed more than 20 times in a rage-fueled attack. Detectives believed everyone the 18-year-old encountered that night had to be eliminated. And their list of potential suspects started with one person who appeared to have a motive. Her ex-boyfriend, Andy. Do you understand why Michelle's ex-boyfriend was a person of interest in her murder?
Anytime there's a murder, very personal in nature, you always look to the people that are closest to them.
And almost immediately, investigators found additional clues they were on the right track.
he had been at the mall the night that she was murdered and had actually talked to her, that makes it more suspicious.
Conversations with Michelle's loved ones raised even more red flags. Did your family suspect her ex-boyfriend, Andy, could have been involved?
We all thought he was involved. The night of her murder, my mother got a call saying, "Is Michelle there?" And it was from Andy. And my mother said, "Why is it that you want to know that?" And he said, "Well, because I have a Christmas gift for her."
The teenager's family believed that Andy's pursuit of Michelle a year after their breakup was troubling.
He was possessive. She had moved on. She was dating other guys.
You wonder two things. You wonder who and you wonder why. There was only one person in my mind that satisfied both of those questions, and that was Andy. And the motive would be, you know, if I can't have her, nobody else can.
Did you share your suspicions with the police about Andy's potential involvement?
Yes, I did.
And the family's concerns deepened during Michelle's funeral.
We knew that the killer had stabbed himself. Andy appeared at the funeral, sleeves well past his wrist, and I thought that he was covering up a wound with these long sleeves.
And his behavior only added to those suspicions.
Andy walked up to the casket and he fainted, and he was caught in the arms of his buddy.
Just hours after the memorial, detectives brought Andy in for an interview. Did Andy cooperate with the police?
Yes, he provided a real basic timeline for himself.
Andy insisted that his conversation with Michelle at the mall on the night of her murder was nothing more than a chance encounter. Police were skeptical. Did Andy have an alibi?
Yeah, Andy had a friend with him, and the two of them were at the mall briefly, and he bought her a Christmas present. And then they left, and then Andy was dropped off at home, and Andy's mother provided the alibi for the rest of the evening.
With only his mother to vouch for his whereabouts at the time of the attack, Andy faced a barrage of tough questions. Is it possible that his mother was telling the truth, that he came home at a specific time, but then could have snuck out of the house and gone to the mall without her knowing it?
Well, I think it's possible that he returned home, that mom sees him, and then mom goes to bed and doesn't know what he's doing for the next couple of hours. That alibi is not as rock solid as he would have liked it to be.
Police remained zeroed in on Andy, but they never found any physical evidence to place him at the crime scene.
And towards one person.
Next, investigators picked up on a tip about a man at the mall who had made several women shoppers uncomfortable as they walked to their cars. Some witnesses described seeing a strange-looking man in the parking lot the night of Michelle's murder. What kind of information did they provide?
They provided a description of someone they had seen in the parking lot that we were able to make into a sketch that was a white male with dark curly hair, possibly early 20s, could have potentially been by a car that looked similar to Michelle's car. That's all we had to go off of. They put that sketch out to the public.
Police ran down dozens of tips, but the unknown stranger was never found. As weeks turned into months, the Cedar Rapids Police Department remained determined to bring Michelle's killer to justice. Who else did police look at as potential suspects?
Employees of the mall, anyone that would have had opportunity. And then, you know, what we always do is we start looking at people who are committing crimes like this that match the same MO as this particular crime.
The new angle on the case raised a possibility investigators hadn't yet considered. Was Michelle Martinko's murder part of a wave of disturbingly similar crimes in Cedar Rapids? police investigating the savage attack on 18-year-old Michelle Martinko had retraced every step of her final night. A trail of sightings that ended just minutes before her murder. But despite the immense amount of hard work they had done chasing down every lead, the investigation was on the verge of stalling. Then, a case filled with frustration found a new direction. Alleged rapist Dennis McKee was arrested for breaking into a woman's home in Cedar Rapids. He was charged with attacking her at knife point. Who was Dennis McKee, and why did investigators look into his background?
Dennis had committed some pretty horrific crimes himself.
Dennis McKee was a hardened criminal who was in the area at the time and had committed similar crimes.
And it was his weapon of choice, a knife, and the violent blitz-style attacks he had used against his victims that led detectives on the case to wonder if McKee had also been involved in Michelle's murder. Police questioned McKee, who repeatedly denied any involvement in the crime. But without physical evidence to connect him to Michelle's murder, the theory quickly lost steam. Law enforcement continued to dig and chase down every new lead, but each hit its own dead end.
Combing through records, trying to do background on them, you're really looking for a needle in a haystack. The Iowa Department of Criminal Investigation basically re-investigated the entire case and came with the same conclusion, that they were not settled on anyone as a suspect.
Investigators were back to square one. Where did the case go from there?
I don't think anyone really knew what to do with it. I think it's officially pretty cold at that point.
The lack of progress was a crushing blow to Michelle's family.
It was so sad. Janet Martinko, Michelle's mother, she said she was brokenhearted.
It changed my parents' lives. They were never the same. My father was happy and carefree. After this, he would cry. My mother, who was normally a happy, kind of fun person, became very solitary.
Both of Michelle's parents died during the 1990s without ever knowing who killed their daughter. The case remained an open wound for Michelle's loved ones and many in the community. Every year at Christmas, the local media did stories about Michelle, and the call for justice led Cedar Rapids detective Doug Larison to reopen the case in 2005. Is it true that you knew Michelle in high school?
Yes, I was actually 1 year ahead of her at Kennedy High School in Cedar Rapids. She was very sweet, very friendly.
Detective Larison desperately wanted to close the case and bring Michelle's killer to justice. And advances in forensic science had provided him a new lead to follow up on.
A gear shift selector from Michelle's car had been sent to the lab, and they had found a partial male DNA profile.
Were you hoping that might be the key to solving the case?
In my opinion, that DNA profile belonged to our killer. What I wanted to do was compile a list of potential suspects and start eliminating people.
Who were the first potential suspects you ended up testing?
Her ex-boyfriend, Andy. And there was another suspect by the name of Dennis McKee.
The results were surprising. Neither was a match. The outcome of the test brought an end to years of whispers and rumors that had tormented Michelle's ex-boyfriend. It must have been difficult for him to live all those years with this cloud of doubt hanging over him.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for decades to know that people suspect you of killing Michelle Martinko. Andy was put through the ringer. He was innocent, and he wanted just to forget about this entire thing.
For Michelle's family, the news that her ex had been exonerated led to even more confusion and despair. Were you surprised when Andy was eliminated as a suspect?
We were so surprised. It just took the rug right out from under you. Then who could it possibly be?
Never did get a hit.
With no leads left to follow, Detective Larison retired and passed the case on to his colleague Matt Denlinger, with little hope that it would ever be solved. But the Michelle Martinko murder investigation was about to get a break that would bring the painful 39-year-old mystery to an unimaginable conclusion. Decades after the murder of Michelle Martinko, police finally had physical evidence, a DNA profile that could identify the teenager's killer. But when Detective Matt Denlinger took over the investigation, there were no suspects left to test. You grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Your father was in law enforcement. How did you hear about this case for the first time?
I was 5 years old when this occurred, so by the time I was 10 years old and wanting to go to the mall with my friends, that's when you really start hearing about it from your parents.
Detective Denlinger started working on the case one day a week with the help of veteran investigator J.D. Smith.
J.D. would come in on Thursdays, and I loved to go talk to J.D. about why it was solvable, and it was kind of like a good book that you read a couple of chapters into, and now you're hooked and just got to finish it.
When I got involved in 2014, Matt and I decided to take off from where Doug had been, looking at everybody that had any contact with her.
They went back to the case file, hoping to find a detail that had been overlooked. Was it daunting to come up with new ways to look at this case?
Oh, definitely. It was very daunting to try to think that you could somehow think of something that hasn't been thought of in 35 years.
Then Detective Denlinger heard about a new technique called forensic genealogy that had just solved one of the country's most notorious cases.
In the spring of 2018, California officials arrested Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, and they had done genealogy connecting relatives through the DNA. That she was likely a second cousin once removed from her suspect.
Brandy Jennings was stunned when she found out that her DNA might be the key to solving a decades-old murder.
I would watch true crime, things on TV. I never imagined my DNA would be a part of a cold case.
But there was still a tremendous amount of work finding out which of Brandy's relatives was the killer.
I was just so excited that we were able to move forward. I was too naive to realize how much work it was going to be.
So just how exhaustive was the process of winnowing down that family tree?
It's really time-consuming to identify a living relative from a set of great-great-grandparents. So I began digging up records, creating giant family trees on the wall in my office. I would cut and paste and tape them up there.
And that long list of names was slowly cut down to just 3 men. How optimistic were you when you finally got that list down to 3 brothers?
I was surprised that these 3 guys are still alive and they all still live in Iowa. We're gonna get a shot to do the one thing that we wanted to do when JD and I started this, which was interview her killer.
What did you do to figure out which brother was the likely killer?
No one stood out. They are all law-abiding, no major arrests, so there's no real red flags.
But without any probable cause for a warrant, police had to find a way to secretly obtain a DNA sample from each brother. Did you fear that any of the brothers would be aware they were under surveillance?
I put my trust in the guys, that they wouldn't blow their cover on it. But sure, you may be dealing with somebody who's been constantly looking over their shoulder for the last 39 years.
We covertly got DNA samples from all 3 brothers. By following them around, they were sent into the lab.
And testing on those samples revealed the name of the new prime suspect in the murder of Michelle Martinko.
We were able to narrow it down to one brother, Jerry Burns from Manchester, Iowa.
Although investigators had been waiting more than 40 years to be face-to-face with Michelle's killer, they made the calculated decision to wait just a few more days before confronting Jerry Burns. You strategically picked the date of that interview. It fell on the anniversary of the death of Michelle. What were you hoping that would trigger?
Hello. Hey, how are you today? Jerry, my name's Matt.
Well, I was hoping that that would trigger some sort of guilt reaction from him. I was hoping that every year on that date he watched the news just like we did, and maybe it bothered him that they kept showing images of Michelle.
During the interview at Burns' office, Detective Denlinger asked if there was a reason why his blood was found in Michelle Martinko's car.
How would we get your DNA at the crime scene there, Jerry?
I don't know. Test it, see if it is.
No, we did. How would it be there, Jerry?
I don't know.
What happened that night?
Wait for the test to come back.
Jerry,
I don't think it did.
Prosecutor Nick Maybanks watched the contentious conversation unfold. You monitored the interrogation. Which answers did you find incriminating that Burns gave?
More than one of his answers, for sure. I mean, it was pretty evident that he was not reacting in a manner in which I would presume or expect an innocent person to act. What are you doing here? You have the wrong guy.
Denlinger then asked his prime suspect point blank if he had killed Michelle Martinko.
Did you murder someone that night, Jerry?
Test the DNA.
Jerry.
Test the DNA.
Why did this happen, Jerry?
Test the DNA.
What happened?
I don't know.
Burns never confessed, but at the end of the interview, he was placed under arrest. When police shared the news with Michelle's stunned family, they tried to find meaning in the senseless crime. What did you end up finding out about Burns?
He did not know her. He picked her out of a crowd at the shopping mall. He was going to kill someone that night. On some level, it was a relief to know it wasn't personal. It was totally random. He was evil and sick.
At trial, prosecutor Nick Maybanks was under intense pressure to close the case that haunted Cedar Rapids and Michelle's family for so long. What did you think was the most critical evidence you had against Burns?
100%, without a doubt, the most critical evidence was the DNA. The DNA was irrefutable in this case, whether or not we had any other evidence, because it was so critical and was so compelling.
In the end, the jury agreed. Burns was found guilty of the murder of Michelle Martinko. And while no one knows knows why a man with no prior criminal record committed such a heinous crime. Investigators have their theories of what happened that night. How did the attack unfold?
I think Michelle got into her car, and I think before she could put that car in drive, our suspect had grabbed the door handle and immediately entered the car. Right away, he's got a knife in his hand, and he's pushing Michelle back onto the seat, and she decides, I'm not gonna go down without a fight. I think that he tries to hit her in the head to knock her out so that he can sexually assault her, and that didn't work. And that's when he started stabbing her.
Jerry Burns now faces life behind bars. Michelle's loved ones are grateful for the dedication, ingenuity, and resolve of everyone who worked on the case, ending a long and tormenting journey to justice. The grieving process for a loved one really never ends. But I'm curious if the guilty verdict has allowed you a new balance in your life.
Yes, the word closure doesn't quite fit because Michelle is no longer with us. I think balance is what we feel. Every Christmas has been sort of forced merriment because that empty chair is always there, and it should be filled by Michelle, and it's not.
When you think of your sister today, what do you remember most about her?
How happy she was. And how she had her own mind. I just remember a very secure girl who knew where she was going. She had her plans. She was going to have a very interesting life. I would have loved to have seen this. Those things we could have shared together, that is just such a loss.
Hi, I'm Paula Zahn, and tonight we're on the case in Boulder, Colorado. The city, known for its breathtaking views and laid-back lifestyle, became the setting for a terrifying mystery when a young mother named Ashley Mead vanished. At first, investigators found few clues to explain her disappearance. But slowly over time, a disturbing trail of evidence began to emerge. And as investigators followed that path across the country, a shocking and heartbreaking crime was revealed. Tuesday, February 14th, 2017. It was 9:20 on a cool, crisp morning when a coworker contacted Boulder police to report 25-year-old Ashley Mead missing. What did the caller have to say?
The caller was a coworker at Head Start Preschool where Ashley had been working, and she called to say that Ashley had not shown up for work, and she was concerned.
Although she was still just an intern, Ashley's devotion to the preschool program was obvious. She was the mother of a toddler herself and simply loved being around children. The 25-year-old's warm sense of humor and strong work ethic had quickly made her lots of friends at the school.
The coworker gave her a couple of calls, a couple of texts, tried to get in contact with her with no response. So that was just really alarming to her.
So she clearly was a reliable employee.
Absolutely. For her not to be there and not to call was very out of character.
Investigators went to check on the young mother and her 13-month-old daughter, Winter Daisy.
Behind me is Ashley's apartment complex. Police officers arrived. Her car was not in its parking space.
It was a white Volvo. It was nowhere to be seen.
Detectives then made their way to Ashley's apartment.
The front door was unlocked. When they went inside, the lights had been left on.
The open door was puzzling, but it didn't raise red flags. Were there any signs of a struggle inside the apartment?
No signs of a struggle, nothing that really looked out of sorts.
Investigators noted other clues that did seem troubling. Ashley's cat had been left unattended, and a partially cooked dinner was found in the kitchen.
The oven was open, but off.
So it looked like someone had left sort of quickly or unexpectedly.
Was it possible that Ashley just needed some time away and was out of town for a couple of days?
Absolutely. You have to look at all sides and all possibilities, and I felt that there was a possibility that she had just taken off.
But as investigators studied the apartment carefully, they found several items that appeared to contradict that theory.
Her driver's license was left behind, as well as her purse and some of her personal belongings. Additionally, her cell phone was left on the very end of the stairs.
That, of course, raised a huge red flag for them.
What did they make of the fact that her cell phone was still there?
Ashley was a 25-year-old woman, and it's very uncommon in this day and age for people to leave home without taking their phone with them.
Why, if she left voluntarily, would she have left her phone and her ID behind?
All of those things combined were concerning enough to us to say that something happened here.
A closer inspection of Ashley's cell phone revealed a disturbing clue.
There was a tread mark on the screen of the phone, and it looked like the last person to have contact with that phone stepped on her phone and just placed it up on the banister.
The tread mark appeared to have been left by a boot and changed investigators' thoughts on Ashley's disappearance.
The tread mark on the cell phone, that told me that even more so there was some sort of struggle.
Still, police contacted Ashley's mother in Pennsylvania to see if there might be a less alarming explanation for what they found. Had Ashley ever left town before without telling anyone?
She didn't necessarily tell me she was leaving Boulder, but when we found out the cat was there, that's when I really started getting concerned.
Claudia said that her daughter always traveled with her cat, and she asked investigators if they had spoken with Adam Densmore, Daisy's father.
Adam Densmore was her ex-boyfriend. They were still living together, though.
They had a 13-month-old daughter together that they were co-parenting and raising within that house.
Officers called Adam's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Then, police took their efforts to find him one step further. Were you able to locate him?
There were efforts to ping his phone. The phone had been turned off and wasn't active on the network. The officers were not able to locate his phone.
With Ashley, Adam, and their baby girl missing, veteran detective Jeremy Frenzen was left with an ominous feeling about the case. You had worked hundreds of missing persons cases. How alarmed were you?
When all three of them, including the baby, were missing, then I was alarmed. Something was wrong with this situation.
Where is Ashley? Where's Adam? Where's the baby? Is the baby safe? There's just a gut feeling that something wasn't right.
After 25-year-old Ashley Mead had been reported missing by her coworkers, police visited her Boulder, Colorado home and discovered puzzling evidence. There were no obvious signs of a struggle or foul play, but her car was not in its parking spot, and her 13-month-old daughter Daisy was also gone. The clues indicated that Ashley might have simply taken off for a few days. But when the detectives found that the young mother's cell phone glasses, and driver's license were still in her apartment, it raised more troubling possibilities.
Is she really just gone? Did she leave and take the baby with her? Or has something more nefarious happened?
Investigators hope that Adam Densmore might be able to provide answers to those questions. The father of Ashley's daughter still shared an apartment with her and Daisy, even though he and Ashley were no longer a couple. But Adam was missing as well, and his cell phone had been turned off.
The car was gone, Ashley was gone, Adam was gone, and their child, Winter Daisy, was gone as well.
Police continued the search for Adam while retracing Ashley's last known movements, a trail that seemed to come to a sudden end on Sunday, February 12th, 2 days before she was reported missing. What did the timeline you put together reveal about Ashley's last known whereabouts?
We knew that about 11:15 on Sunday the 12th, she had been at Target. She took some selfies in a black dress in the dressing room.
Ashley spent the rest of the day running routine errands, nothing that indicated she had planned on leaving town.
Throughout the day, she had been in and out at the apartment. We obtained video of her and Winter Daisy at about 4:40 at Sprouts.
Did her behavior at the store seem at all strange?
Not at all. She was carrying Winter Daisy. They stood in line, left the store. Everything looked 100% normal at 4:40 on Sunday.
The late afternoon grocery store purchases were Ashley's last transaction.
That was the last time that that credit card was ever used.
Less than an hour later, Ashley was seen outside of her apartment.
A neighbor, when officers canvassed the apartment complex, said that they had observed Ashley around 5:30 on Sunday the 12th going to the trash dumpster.
Ashley's cell phone records help pinpoint the time frame when Ashley and her baby suddenly disappeared. Based on everything you knew so far, when do you think she went missing?
They were able to determine that all of her social media communications and activity on her phone, the last activity was about 8:40 p.m. on Sunday.
On your phone, there's always a trail, and at this point with Ashley, it just stopped.
And that was the last anybody heard from her?
Correct.
And that led police to a troubling conclusion. Ashley had likely been missing for more than 48 hours.
Law enforcement was a few days behind.
A canvass of Ashley's building revealed an even bigger problem. Her next-door neighbor reported hearing a loud noise from Ashley's apartment just after 9 that Sunday night.
They shared a wall in this apartment complex. She heard what she thought was somebody falling down the stairs. She knew that it had come from next door. She was worried that someone had been hurt.
Did she hear anyone scream or anyone call out for help?
She didn't hear anything else other than just that commotion of the stairs.
It definitely raises a lot of concern that someone might have gotten severely hurt, if not killed.
Those concerns made getting in touch with everyone close to Ashley a top priority. And a call to Adam Densmore's parents in Louisiana gave them their first break in the case. The couple said they had just ended a short visit with their son and their granddaughter Daisy. Investigators were relieved to hear the 13-month-old was safe. But they were deeply concerned to learn that Ashley had not been with them. And detectives were also frustrated that Adam was already back on the road. Did he tell them where he planned to go next?
He was going to go visit his grandma in Conway, Arkansas.
Adam's parents said there were large portions of the drive to Arkansas where he might be out of cell range. Still, the investigators went to work attempting to verify his whereabouts through the GPS coordinates of Adam's phone. When you pinged Adam's cell phone, did it in fact confirm that he was on his way to his grandmother's house?
Yes, we did get information from his cell phone, and we knew that Adam had gone to visit his grandma.
And there was confirmation on Ashley's cell phone. It revealed Adam had called and texted Ashley numerous times with updates on his road trip with their daughter. There was one message that seemed to explain why Adam had taken Daisy with him on the long drive. Ashley had a new man in her life.
Adam is saying, you have fun with him. There was an identification as to who him was.
But a deeper dive into Ashley's phone records gave police a clear picture of who that him might be. And it also offered a disturbing glimpse into a dark and potentially dangerous new romance. Police in Boulder, Colorado were investigating the disturbing disappearance of 25-year-old Ashley Mead. And detectives knew they had already lost a lot of ground in their race against time.
She didn't just up and leave, and so it was imperative for us to try to find her.
Her last known movements indicated that the young mother had already been missing for 2 days, and police investigators were scrambling to catch up.
We're working against the clock, trying as fast as we can to make up that time to figure out what happened.
Detectives were relieved to discover that Ashley's former boyfriend, Adam Densmore, and their 13-month-old daughter, Daisy, were alive and well. But for the time being, the two were out of cell phone range while enjoying a road trip to visit family.
He was on his way to his grandmother's house in Conway, Arkansas.
But calls and messages that Adam had left on Ashley's cell phone earlier in his trip redirected the investigation.
The last phone calls that we had into Ashley's phone from Adam were the night of the 12th. He called 4 different times. He left her a message about Ashley running off. You're probably with him.
An examination of Ashley's cell phone records quickly revealed the identity of the mysterious him Adam was referring to.
We learned that Ashley was dating someone named Harvey and that the two met online.
What did you find out about that man?
Ashley and Harvey had been dating just for a couple of weeks. It was a new relationship.
She was talking to Harvey on a regular basis. The two had actually met up and were intimately involved.
As police studied the couple's communications, critical details stood out. Did Harvey have any contact with Ashley the day she went missing?
He did have contact with her, yes.
Detectives wondered if Ashley's last series of errands, including buying a new dress that day, had been in anticipation of a date with Harvey.
The suspicions were mainly from the fact that she was communicating with a new boyfriend. We had no idea what relationship they had.
But text messages about experimenting with bondage, along with the disturbing photographs they had exchanged, immediately raised red flags.
The pictures that we found between Ashley and Harvey were sexually explicit.
When you saw the sexually explicit photos, how much more did it raise your concerns?
I was concerned. The photos had some degradation to them that made me uncomfortable. I perceived that as degrading to Ashley.
The photos also hinted at the possibility of violence.
They were alarming. And then the two didn't know each other that well, so Harvey was pretty high up on our radar.
Investigators immediately tracked down Harvey at his residence, about 30 miles outside of Boulder. What steps did you take to investigate Harvey?
We sent a team of detectives to Harvey's house. They did an interview. They did a search of his home.
Investigators found no signs of Ashley. What was his reaction to the fact that Ashley had gone missing?
He was concerned about the fact that we were looking at him with suspicion.
During the interview, Harvey also seemed concerned about Ashley.
He was forthcoming with his relationship with Ashley. He talked about the pictures that they shared together, how they met, and their relationship as a whole.
He provided us photographs and allowed us to look at his phone.
And Harvey repeatedly denied seeing Ashley on the night of her disappearance.
He was very cooperative. He came to the police department voluntarily to talk to us, try to help us piece things together, where he was and who he was with on that day.
The story included witnesses who were with Harvey during the window of time leading up to when Ashley went missing.
He had picked up some friends from the airport, and they spent time together. His friend actually lost her purse, and they had to file a police report for that missing purse.
The incident was documented and time-stamped.
We ultimately found the police report for the missing purse.
Did you find his alibi rock solid?
Yes, I knew that he was not involved.
And Harvey's cell phone records confirmed his story.
We tracked down his cell phone data through GPS. We found that Harvey was not anywhere near Ashley's apartment the day that Ashley went missing.
With Harvey eliminated, detectives were now back to square one, and 25-year-old Ashley Mead was still missing. And with each moment that passed, it seemed less likely she would be found alive. Police investigating the disappearance of 25-year-old Ashley Mead had just cleared her new boyfriend, Harvey, and were now focused on tracking down her ex, Adam Densmore. Detectives knew that Densmore and the couple's daughter, Daisy, were on their way to his grandmother's house in Arkansas. But so far, they had still been unable to speak with him. Adam's cell phone was either turned off or out of cell tower range.
We want to try to get in touch with him to try to get some more information about how the baby is, where's Ashley, all the questions we have running through our head.
Investigators contacted Adam's grandmother to tell him to call as soon as he arrived.
Adam's grandmother told Adam, Ashley's missing and you need to call police, and he freaked out.
But instead of immediately contacting police, Adam jumped back into his car with his daughter and called investigators from the road several hours later. When Adam called police, what did he have to say?
They had about a 30-minute phone conversation about Ashley being missing, and Adam told the detective he had left the area to go visit his parents because there had been a, quote, massive fight.
Investigators recorded the entire call.
Winter's with you?
She's in her seat, man. She was crying when I called, and as soon as he picked up, she stopped.
I just want to make sure she's okay. When was the last time you talked to Ashley?
Sunday night. We got into a massive fight, probably the worst fight we have ever been in. And I left because it was going to escalate into physicality, and I needed to get out of there. I took Winter, and I just started driving.
Adam said that during his drive to his parents' house in Louisiana, he tried to contact Ashley several times and was now panicked to hear she was missing.
I called her, left a few messages. I've been texting and Facebook messaging her, and I thought she wasn't messaging me back because she was angry. And then I get this information last night that's like, oh God, freaking out.
Did he have any idea where Ashley was?
No, he did tell the detective, I haven't heard from her, I'm worried about her.
Did he say where he was going next?
Adam told us that he was actually on his way back to Boulder to come meet with us and talk to us more about the case.
But investigators were still considering if they were going to wait that long. State patrolmen in Oklahoma were following close behind Ashley's white Volvo that Adam was driving.
They are indicating they're in a position to intercept him.
Prosecutor Ken Kuffner weighed his options. Although he wanted to have police pull Adam over, he still had no tangible evidence connecting Adam to Ashley's disappearance. What was your fear at that point?
You would have no basis to hold him at this point. We had no idea where Ashley was. We don't really know what happened. So at that point, trying to figure out what to do was the biggest question.
And there was another issue that had to be considered. How worried were you about the baby as this was playing out?
We were concerned. All indications were that he had been a pretty good father, but we really had no idea what was going on inside of Adam's head.
If Adam was responsible for Ashley's disappearance, was 13-month-old Daisy now in danger? How much pressure did you feel to bring him in?
I think the biggest pressure that we felt at that point in time was the safety of Daisy. We wanted to make sure that she was accounted for and safe.
Ultimately, it was Winter Daisy herself who gave investigators a reason to pull Adam over. Since Adam's name had not been listed on his daughter's official birth record, an out-of-state trip without Ashley's permission was against the law. District Attorney Kuffner immediately requested Oklahoma police to arrest him.
They moved in quickly to take him into custody.
When police stopped Adam, he seemed confused but cooperative. What condition was Daisy in?
Daisy was in good condition.
She was healthy and safe. That was just a big weight off of our shoulders.
After his arrest, Adam Densmore refused to speak with detectives and asked for an attorney. But he did answer questions posed by a representative from Social Services about Winter Daisy. During the videotaped interview, he also added more details about his last argument with Ashley.
Tell me about the fight.
I slapped her.
Okay.
That was the absolute second I think,
Photographs of Adam's body offered clues that his altercation with Ashley may have been much more extensive than a slap. As investigators took a closer look at Adam, what stood out to them?
Adam looked like he had been in a fight. Adam had a huge bite mark on his chest. He had scratches all over his body. He had bruised knuckles.
It made me very worried. I was concerned that something bad had happened to her.
Forensic experts examined the white Volvo Adam had been driving for evidence that might reveal the most pressing issue on investigators' minds.
Given the injuries on Adam's body, we certainly had lots of questions about where Ashley was, if she was safe, what had happened to her.
But even investigators who feared the worst could never have imagined the shocking answers to those questions. Police investigating the disappearance of 25-year-old Ashley Mead had just taken her former boyfriend Adam Densmore into custody. Visible injuries on his body and statements he made about a massive fight with Ashley quickly made Densmore the prime suspect in the case. As the news spread about Adam's arrest, Ashley's loved ones were relieved to hear that her daughter, Winter Daisy, was safe, but there were no other details police could provide that eased their concerns. When you found out Daisy was with her father and Ashley was nowhere to be seen, is that the point where you began to worry?
Yes, they found Daisy without her. I knew it wasn't going to be good.
That's when the terror set in. Ashley was not away from that baby for 5 minutes. She just loved that baby so much.
Investigators believe that Adam Densmore was responsible for Ashley's disappearance, but they still had no evidence she had even been the victim of foul play. Then, police received a call from Adam's sister in Louisiana. She told a disturbing story about her interaction with him during his visit to their parents' home. She said her parents were at work and her arrival seemed to startle him.
She was very excited to see Adam and Daisy. She walked in the house. Adam appeared shocked to see her. He was not expecting her.
The young woman told police that she noticed signs that her brother had been cleaning up a mess.
She also told us that she smelled a strong odor of bleach.
Did she ask him about that?
She did. He told her that he had become nauseous and had vomited all over the bathroom and needed to use bleach to clean it up. I think she believed him at first, and then the more that she thought about it, the more she became suspicious.
For detectives, her story was alarming. And while police were dispatched to search the Densmore's family home for evidence, an even more disturbing report was being taken by police in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. What did the caller report?
The gas station attendant had gone out to take the trash to a dumpster. When she looked into the dumpster and saw a purple suitcase, curiosity got the best of her.
The woman unzipped the suitcase and made a chilling discovery.
Inside the suitcase was a human torso.
She called 911 just completely in a panic.
When police arrived, there was no clothing or any personal items in the suitcase to identify the victim.
The medical examiner examined the torso and found that her head, legs, and arms had been removed. For someone to cut apart another human being, it was surreal.
During the autopsy, a critical clue led to a heartbreaking discovery. Were there any markings on the victim's body?
Yes, there was a gapped tooth sun tattoo on her back. Ashley was well known to have a Sublime Sun tattoo.
The tattoo was nearly identical to one of the popular rock band's album covers, except Ashley had added a unique twist to her version. The smiling sun had a space between its two front teeth, just like Ashley's. The tattoo convinced investigators that the victim had been the missing mother, and DNA analysis confirmed the terrible truth. The Ashley Mead missing persons case had just turned into a homicide investigation. What went through your mind when you were informed that the victim was Ashley Mead?
There was definitely a sense of sorrow as well as disappointment by everybody involved.
My stomach just sank. It was devastating. It was like a punch in the gut.
Due to the condition of Ashley's remains, the medical examiner was not able to establish the cause of her death. But he did document other injuries that told a grisly story of the young mother's struggle for survival.
It was clear that Ashley had been in a significant struggle, abrasions and contusions on the back. Those injuries happened while she was still alive.
When Ashley's loved ones heard the news, their pain was almost unbearable. How did you deal with the fact that when it was ultimately confirmed that they had found Ashley?
My daughter's dead. I cried a lot.
Ashley's best friend Morgan was almost as devastated.
That was probably like the worst moment of my life. And I was just sobbing.
While loved ones tried to come to terms with their loss, investigators were analyzing video from surveillance cameras at the gas station where Ashley's remains had been recovered. When you watched the surveillance video from the gas station, what did you see?
We saw the white Volvo pull up to a dumpster, discard the suitcase.
The images were grainy and shot from a distance, but they ultimately told a terrifying story.
We were able to piece together from a number of different camera angles a white Volvo had backed up to the dumpster where the suitcase was found.
The cameras tracked the white Volvo and eventually clearly documented that Adam Densmore had been driving.
He drives around the gas station, and we were able to put together a continuous feed of him parking at Walmart, taking Daisy out of the car seat, walking in.
Describe to me what you were thinking and what you were feeling as you analyzed this video.
We have him on video. For me, it was a powerful piece of evidence as a prosecutor.
And more incredibly disturbing evidence was found by crime scene analysts in Louisiana, in the backyard of Densmore's parents' home.
They located a shed behind the residence, and in that shed, they found a barbecue grill cover. That grill cover had a significant amount of blood on the inside. In that same shed, authorities in Louisiana located a reciprocating saw. It still contained blood and tissue in the blade and in the area of the guard.
And testing of that saw revealed the grim truth. Did the saw have Ashley's DNA on it?
It did, yes.
The result confirmed that Adam Densmore had dismembered Ashley's body in his parents' shed. Police found more damning clues in the car he had been driving. What did the FBI discover when they searched Ashley's car?
There was a smear of blood on the back seat next to the car seat. DNA showed that that was Ashley's blood.
The evidence indicated that Ashley's body may have been on the floor beneath her daughter's feet. Densmore's pure contempt for the mother of his child was clear when police studied his personal journals. How critical were these journals to your case?
Extremely critical. They demonstrated that this anger and the malice that Adam had towards Ashley had been brewing for an extremely long time.
A rage that appeared to have boiled over on the Sunday night Ashley was last seen. What do you think happened to Ashley the day she was killed?
I believe that Ashley and Adam had a fight, and that fight stemmed from Adam's jealousy that she was seeing new people. That the massive fight that he described did happen in that apartment.
Investigators believe it was during that struggle that Adam stepped on the screen of Ashley's cell phone, and the soles of the shoes he was wearing when he was arrested proved it.
I was able to match up the bottom of Adam's footwear to this tread mark on the cell phone.
Detectives theorized that the loud thumps Ashley's neighbor heard the night she disappeared were Densmore dragging her body down the stairs after he killed her.
I believe she was strangled. I believe her lifeless body was taken out of the house and put into the Volvo, driven from Boulder to Louisiana, where Adam dismembered her and had plans to spread her body throughout the United States as he traveled back to Boulder.
And each element of that terrifying theory was backed up by physical evidence. Still, Adam Densmore pled not guilty to the first-degree murder of Ashley Mead. What was his defense at trial?
One of the things that we could never prove in the case is how Ashley was murdered. So the defense really hit on that fact that we didn't prove that beyond a reasonable doubt.
But any doubt created by dismembering Ashley's body had no impact on the final decision. On April 4th, 2018, Densmore was found guilty of Ashley's murder and several other charges related to the crime.
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
He was sentenced to life, plus 12 years in prison without parole. After the verdict, Ashley's family approached the Densmore family in the courtroom.
There was a poignant moment after the conviction where you approached Adam's mother. What did you say to her?
I'm so sorry. We cried together. She very much lost her son the same time I lost my daughter.
To this day, Densmore refuses to reveal what happened the day of Ashley's murder or where he disposed of the rest of her remains.
Were you hoping that at some point Adam would confess to the murder?
I think it would bring us all some closure because we don't really know where the rest of her body is, so it would be nice to have a confession and some sort of remorse.
Ashley's family has tried to put their pain behind them and focus on their loving memories of Ashley, her unwavering devotion to her baby girl, and her incredible zest for life.
How hard has it been for you since Ashley was killed?
It's been 3 years and it still feels like yesterday. Definitely the hardest thing I've ever been through. I miss her a whole lot.
She just was not afraid of anything, just brave, and like she knew she didn't have long on this earth, and she wanted to cram as much into her time that she had. I'm sorry.
I'm Paula Zahn. Tonight, we're on the case in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where a college freshman was found badly burned and barely alive in her dorm room. The brutality of the attack left many on campus wondering who could have been so twisted. What investigators uncovered would tear a town apart.
Just like everyone else, you get to college and you just want to kind of have fun.
Danica Jackson and Katie Autry were roommates and best friends at Western Kentucky University, a bustling state college about an hour's drive from Nashville, Tennessee. Their freshman year was about to end. Summer break was just a week away. But any thoughts of final exams or summer vacations disappeared when a fire alarm went off in the middle of the night. It was coming from room 214 in Poland Hall, Katie and Danica's room. A friend at the dorm called Danica with the news.
I said to her, I was like, well, okay, my dorm room's on fire. Where is Katie? She said, I don't know. I'm like, that's not right. I was like, something's wrong. If she's not with you, she's in there. She's in that room.
Students were quickly evacuated from the building, and when firefighter Bob Sanborn entered the room, he was met by a horrible scene.
I noticed something glistening in what I thought was
a pile of laundry on the bed. And as I moved in, I swept away the debris, and when I looked again, I saw this person laying there. When I looked closer, I saw the chest rise. I shoved the rest of the debris away. I swept her up and got to the door.
It was a very young, very small female with burns over a large percentage of her body. And she had no clothes on.
Outside the building, dazed students waited in their pajamas while firefighters tried to get oxygen into Katie.
I hit the bypass on my mask, and I just pressed it down on her face as hard as I could. My job at that moment was to keep her alive, to get her to breathe. If I could get her to breathe on her own, then, you know, as far as my world went, she's going to live. And I was able to get her breathing on her own.
Katie was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Her roommate, Danica, made it back to the dorm at 5 a.m.
I just remember seeing her bed, and it was just black in the center, like a big gooey black mess, and up the wall it was black all the way.
Firefighters found Katie with her feet bound together with the cord of a curling iron. A t-shirt was knotted tightly around her neck. The fire alarm in the room had been torn off the ceiling. It was clear this was a deliberate criminal attack. But conditions in the dorm room made it difficult for investigators to piece together exactly what had happened.
The fire department had been in there and put many gallons of water on the scene, so the scene itself didn't give us much direction. The evidence had been pretty much destroyed.
Police then turned their attention to anyone who had contact with Katie the previous night. They knew she had gone to a party at the Pike Fraternity House.
The roommate of Miss Autry, Danica, was interviewed. So that led us back to where she had started from that night at the Pike House at the party.
Take us back to the night of Saturday, May 3rd. Was it a typical night for the two of you?
Yeah, we got up, got dressed, went out and hung out in a friend's room for a little while, pre-drink, and then just went to the party.
According to Danica, Katie had been drinking heavily before she went to the Pike frat house. And at the party, she got into an ugly fight with a boy she had been seeing.
I know that she slapped him across the face in front of everybody, and she was a little bit, I guess, out of hand.
What was she so mad about?
He would make a commitment to her, and he'd been seeing another girl. I'm coming after you.
Even though he was a designated driver, sending her drunk friend home with the boy worried Danica. So she entered the license plate number of the truck into her cell phone. Why would you have taken down the license number? What were you feeling at that point?
Just in case something happened.
Danica was being cautious, but didn't really expect any trouble.
I knew exactly what she was gonna do. She was gonna go in the room, go wash her face, and she was gonna get in the bed. It's exactly what she did every night. I mean, it's Bowling Green. Nothing happens there, you know.
But something did happen. And someone did the unthinkable to Katie Autry, leaving her in a desperate struggle for her life. Her injuries revealed just how depraved the attack was.
She had puncture wounds on her throat. She'd been covered with an accelerant and set on fire. They later discovered that the accelerant was hairspray. They found evidence of sexual trauma. It's kind of unbelievable what the injuries she sustained, and she's still alive.
In critical condition and with third-degree burns over 40% of her body, Katie was airlifted to the burn unit at Vanderbilt University Hospital in Nashville. The only thing her best friend Danica could do now was wait, worry, and wonder how it all came to this. Do you feel a sense of guilt that you let her go home alone that night?
I would have rather gone with her. Even if something would have happened, I would rather if it happened to both of us than her be alone.
With little physical evidence, police tried to figure out who had attacked Katie Autry. The college freshman was in the hospital, hooked up to a ventilator, unable to speak, and fighting for her life.
They told us that we couldn't touch her or anything, and when we went in the room, they had a light shining right directly on her face, and she looked like a little baby doll laying there. And my mom just lost it. She just started screaming for her to wake up. She just wanted her to wake up.
Barbie White was only 16 years old at the time, but she remembers just how serious Katie's injuries were.
They had to remove all the skin from her neck to her knees because she had 3rd and 4th degree burns all over her.
While Katie's family stood by her bedside, police in Bowling Green were trying to move the investigation forward. They questioned Danica and got an important clue. Before the fire alarm went off, Danica had called their dorm room to check on Katie. What Katie told her was troubling.
All I remember is her saying, "Danica, there's someone in our room." I was like, "What do you mean there's somebody in our room? Who is it?" "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know who it is? You know, get up, look at him. Who is it?" And she handed the phone to whoever it was. And I said, "What are you doing in our room?" I said, "Oh, I'm the boy that brought her home. She threw up in my truck. I just wanted to make sure she was okay." And I was like, "She's fine. Turn her, make sure she's on her stomach when you leave. I'll be there soon. She's fine. Get out of our room."
That's when Danica said she heard another voice. There seemed to be a second man in the room.
I heard the door close to her room, and I could hear her saying, "Just leave me alone, just leave me alone. I just want to go to sleep." The one male was talking on the phone to me, and then there was another male voice in the background. And then the phone hung up,
So you never talked to this second person in the room, or who you thought was the second male in the room?
No, I never talked to him directly, but it was a guy.
The phone call in itself was pretty disturbing, but once you got hung up on, what did you do next?
Nothing. I thought, he'll leave. He'll leave. I told him to leave. He'll leave. And I really thought he would. I, let him know, "Hey, I'll be home soon," thinking, surely nobody's dumb enough to do something to somebody if they think that the other person's gonna come home.
Before she got back to the dorm, Danica got a call about the fire. Police also questioned Ryan Payne, the fraternity pledge and designated driver who had driven Katie home in a truck that night. He told police there was a boy he knew from the neighboring town of Scottsville who was already in his truck that night, someone named Stephen Souls.
When he got to the truck, Stephen Souls was passed out due to his drunkenness. Stephen Souls is in the middle, Miss Autry's on the right side of the passenger seat, and of course, Ryan is driving.
Investigators wanted to hear from Stephen Souls. It took days to track him down, but police finally brought him in for questioning. Cameras were rolling when Souls described the car ride to Katie's dorm.
She was drunk, I could tell, but she could tell she was kind of emotional about something. She just wanted to get to her dorm and whatever, just chill.
Souls said he got out of the truck with Katie, and then she invited him upstairs.
Get our way into the room. Be a little bit more specific. When we get up, bro, we start kissing, messing around a little bit. Where at? In the bed, you know what I'm saying? We started messing around or whatever. And then, we started do it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Next day, yeah. Okay.
But Soul says when the alcohol got the better of Katie, everything changed.
She goes to the bathroom and starts stuffing up. She comes back out. She's like, I'm sick. You know, I sit there and talk to her for a little while, whatever. And then I just got up and left.
Soul's claim he got to a friend's house at 3:30 a.m., half an hour before the fire alarm went off. But Detective Pickett wasn't buying it.
Listen, I know you're nervous. I know you're scared to death. Man, I want to help you, but I know something went bad. I don't know what happened, but I know that something went bad up there. I want you to tell me. Anything, I know that I was up there, but I did not harm that girl in no way. I can promise you that.
Soul's story just wasn't adding up.
He was very quiet, withdrawn to himself, nervous. He kept putting his head in his hands. He definitely had something he was hiding that he needed to talk about.
So Detective Pickett pushed Soul's harder.
She completely backed out of me at that. So what went back? I didn't hurt. Stephen, you didn't do anything. If you nothing did, don't put a rough on nobody. Okay? So when I was leaving, I was threw out in the hall. I don't know if he went in there and done it or what, but I didn't hurt that girl.
Feeling the pressure, Souls asked for a cigarette, took a deep breath, and prepared to tell detectives a story that would point the finger at someone else. Coming up, who was the other man in the room? And was he responsible for the attack on Katie?
That's a pretty serious thing when you strike a woman.
Just a few days after Katie Autry was attacked, police had identified and interviewed their prime suspect. Stephen Souls was now on the verge of telling investigators everything that happened that night. Katie Autry was barely clinging to life. 3 days had passed since the college freshman had been assaulted, raped, and set on fire. There was little doctors could do.
She was such a fighter, though. She didn't want to give up. Her heart rate would drop, and she'd bring it back up. And it would drop again, and she'd bring it back up. You know, we all wanted her to live so much. It was a hard fight on her.
After a brief but courageous battle, Katie Autry passed away. She was just 18 years old.
She was an amazing person. Katie was very special to all of us.
While Katie's family and friends mourned her loss, her case became a homicide investigation, and whoever killed her would likely be facing the death penalty. Police were focusing on Stephen Souls, the young man who admitted to being in Katie's dorm room the night of the attack.
Stephen began saying he only had sexual relations with Miss Autry. I felt like Mr. Souls was to the point that he just needed some hard evidence against him.
To push Souls, Detective Pickett used a time-tested interrogator's ploy. He tried to trick Souls into thinking there was solid evidence against him. Pickett made cards using his own fingerprints, saying they came from the dorm room, and then he questioned Souls about them.
I said, "Who do you think these fingerprints are?" And he says, "Well, they're mine." And I also had made a mock videotape like that there had been surveillance cameras on the dorm. And I said, "Who do you think's on the tape?" And he says, "Well, me."
Pickett felt Souls was now vulnerable, but if he was expecting a confession, he was badly mistaken. Instead, Souls said there was someone else in the room that night.
We was in there messing around or whatever, we was having sex. Buddy of mine coming out of
For the first time, Souls mentioned the name Luke. He was talking about Lucas Goodrum, a friend who had gone to the fraternity party with him.
I guess he talked to her at the party. I don't know. He come in and seen what we were doing. You know, he wanted to get something to her. You know, he talked to her, whatever, stuff like that. But she went down with it. And next thing I know, the turns crazy. Tell me what turned crazy. He just got forceful with it.
Souls went on to tell police a harrowing story. He said he watched Lucas Goodrum rape Katie, and that while he witnessed the whole attack, he did nothing to stop it.
I just didn't know what to do. I was just standing there.
Souls insisted that he left the room before the fire was started, but he said he saw Lucas spraying Katie's bed and her body with hairspray.
All I can remember is him getting in the camp like that, spraying her. And this man running.
Despite his disturbing account, a decision was made to let Stephen Souls go home that day.
We didn't arrest him. As long as he was cooperating, we were letting him stay out.
Police immediately turned their attention to Lucas Goodrum. The 21-year-old was from Scottsville, the same town Souls was from. Lucas was no stranger to police there. He had even gotten into a violent altercation with his girlfriend before going to the frat party on the night Katie was attacked.
What happened that night?
We got into a fight. We got into it, and I threw a cell phone and hit her.
You laugh when you say that. That's a pretty serious thing when you strike a woman.
I'm not really thinking it was funny, but I didn't hit her. I was not meaning to hit her. I was meaning to break her phone.
But according to a statement Lucas's girlfriend gave police, his intent and his actions were vicious.
She stated, quote, she tried to leave. He slapped her and pushed her on the bed. He then straddled her and struck her twice more in the face.
No, I've never seen that. I never heard that from her either.
Did that ever happen?
Huh? No.
So what did happen?
I mean, I tried to keep her from leaving because she'd been drinking. And I sat on her, and while she was in her car, to keep her from leaving, that was it. And we had an argument.
Do you admit you used excessive force?
No, I didn't use excessive force with her. I sat on top of her because I weighed more than her.
Did you try to choke her?
No, I'm not a choker. I ain't never choked nobody.
The divorced father of one had a number of domestic violence complaints and restraining orders filed against him by his ex-wife, LaDonna.
Do you understand that when you put all these things together, a picture emerges of you of a guy who's violent towards women?
I'm not going to accept that because I wasn't the greatest guy in the world, but I wasn't bad either.
The allegations of violence against women made the attack on Katie Autry that night seem plausible. But Lucas believed there was another factor working against him, a bitter history between his family and the police.
And that town was a little different because my stepdad and who my stepdad's family was.
Why are you making the distinction of your stepdad and who your stepdad was and how that might affect how law enforcement reacted to you?
Well, that mattered a whole lot. His grandfather owned the town, basically, and they all knew who I was.
Lucas's stepfather was an heir to the Dollar General Corporation, a multi-million-dollar retail chain with more than 300 stores in Kentucky alone. But his stepfather also had a troubled relationship with the police. In 1993, he killed a retired police officer in a drunk driving accident. He served 7 months in jail. But police say they weren't interested in Lucas's family history. They were focused on his actions the night of the attack on Katie Autry. After hearing Stephen Souls' story, police took Lucas into custody. They immediately took DNA samples. Lucas assumed he was in trouble for the fight with his girlfriend.
They didn't explain nothing to me until I got the post in Kentucky State Police.
What were you doing while all these samples were being taken?
I was asking questions. I was trying to get them to tell me why I was there. I mean, I wasn't just sitting there calmly. I was pissed off that they was doing this. I was like, what the hell are y'all doing? And I think I made a comment to one of the cops. I was like, all this for domestic violence.
Coming up, Lucas Goodrum angrily denies the charges against him. Will investigators be able to prove them?
He showed no compassion. I just believe he was being totally deceitful.
The murder of Katie Autry sent shockwaves through the college town of Bowling Green, Kentucky. People were scared, outraged, and demanding justice. Police already had a suspect, but he said someone else was.
Any time at that moment, did you go over to Poland? To where? To Poland, huh? Poland? Oh, I don't even know where it's at, but no. I mean, I didn't. Absolutely. I'm absolutely sure, 100% crossing my heart hope to die. I did not. I swear to God.
What was your reaction when you heard these investigators saying